the first Owl Triangle of 2025. We're back. We're looking forward to this one. It's going to be a messy one, I'd say. A good one, though. A good messy. We're having about... Well, we don't want to make too many promises yet. We have a good few guests coming on today. We've reached out to a few people for a year in review, 2024. Maybe a quick look ahead, but with some fighters to 2025. And as always, Andy Stevenson and Quilcha DeBarra are here with me. To look back at 2024 for Irish mixed martial arts, maybe, like I said, a little bit of a look ahead too, lads. How are you, Andy? Are you keeping well? Did you have a nice Christmas? And a Happy New Year to you. And a Happy New Year to all of our listeners as well. Definitely help us out, giving us an old like, giving us a subscribe. You know, we're moving stride by stride. This is our, third year now, lads, going into the fourth year? Fourth year. Wow. Going into our fourth year of the Owl Triangle now. So all the support, the podcast has been slowly growing and growing through the years. So if you do like what you're listening to, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share it with a friend if they're into Irish mixed martial arts, just getting into mixed martial arts, or been into mixed martial arts for ages and ages. I think we cater to each and everybody that listens here. But how are you, Andy? Did you have a nice Christmas, like I said, and a Happy New Year to you, and a Happy New Year to you too, Quilcha?
I had a lovely Christmas. As you said, our fourth year, the mega millions have rolled in. I've got myself a new microphone for 2025 and life is good. Yeah, no, I had a great Christmas, loads of family time, friends, a lot of late nights, and I feel like I don't know which way is up still. I feel like tomorrow's Monday, the work, this is the real first.
Back to reality tomorrow. Yeah.
Because I've been working, but like, you know, when no one else is in work and like it's quiet. And,
well, you've been probably doing what I've been doing and working. That's been saying about most things. That's a January problem, but we can't do that now because it is January. So I don't know.
How was your Christmas, New Year's though?
Mine was grand. How was yours, Quilcha?
Good, yeah, busy. Nice to get home, family, Christmas Day swim. For anyone who doesn't do it, it is
overachiever.
Oh no, be freezing, but it's worth it. It's the only time I will get into the sea all year.
In the sea, what down in
Dungarvan?
Dungarvan,
yeah, sunny southeast, Bonnet Beach. Good couple of probably 100 people there do it every Christmas. So that's nearly the highlight of my Christmas every year because it's the only time I get in the sea. But yeah, time family, meet some people. Still adjusting the old body clock. 2 a.m. falling asleep every night after quite a bit of time off it's hitting hard. Plus, recovering from the flu now, lads. But look, it was never going to stop me from recording today.
That's a shot. I was working a little bit on and off during Christmas. We don't get like time off. You know the way like the standard 2 weeks. Nearly everyone gets 2 weeks off back home. But yeah, like I got off I was working on Christmas Eve and then I had a couple of days off after Christmas and then I was back a couple of days as well. But I did have a nice couple of breaks. I timed it in around weekends so I'd have multiple days off in a row. So not too bad. I feel refreshed and won't have that back to work doom that maybe other people. I think we were recording this on the Sunday, obviously, before a lot of people will return back to work after the Christmas break. But well, look, it was a lovely time, lovely Christmas, nice New Year's. I'm looking forward to 2025. I'm looking forward to it for Irish MMA as well. I think it was a big year in 2024, and I think we're going to have a bigger year again in 2025. So I have to. Did you boys get hit with the bad weather there? You're getting a taste of winter. No?
Yeah.
I don't know what's like down for Quilcha. It's raining. It's raining outside.
Oh no, it's snowing.
You're getting a Quilcha, are you?
We had a snowball fight outside earlier. Like I felt like I was about 12 again. It was unreal. Never got to do this. I haven't done this since like 2018 during whatever storm. Then yeah, it's brilliant.
It might not be back to work for a lot of people actually if they're snowed in and stuff like that in some areas. So I know, down in my part, down in Kilkenny too, they got hit pretty bad as well. So you got away with it over and probably the only part of the UK and Ireland, Andy, that's not snowing is Dublin right now.
Yeah, it's just like miserable, rainy, but like it's grand. There's no snow. I don't know if I told you this before. Do you remember? I think it was 2010. There was a big snow in Ireland, and it was not. I wouldn't say quite similar to like North America, but like we got a decent bit of snow.
I remember.
I was working in the ice rink in Dundrum as like a part-time job during college, and basically the snow came and the generators all failed, so the place shut down or whatever. So we're like, this is great, still get paid, but going to the pub here now. I'd say we went in for about 4 hours, had about probably 6 or 7 points or whatever, and next thing someone gets a phone call to be like, oh, generators back up and running. Get back into work there.
Oh no!
So now there was no customers because like everyone, like at that point everyone had gone home or whatever. But like it was a ropey situation.
Everyone going back all googly eyed back into work after that.
Goodbye.
It's funny. I remember that too from that time. I was actually working in a factory that time. Keenan Saburis, actually, shout out Keenan Saburis. I was on a plasma cutting machine working outside, so it was an outside shed, and I never forget there was snow, but it was also minus 18 at that time as well, wasn't it? That we got a real bad cold blast in around that time, if I remember correctly.
It lasted for ages.
Yeah, we got sent home from work too, but yeah, that's it. But sure, you get sent home and you go straight to the pub, like that's it. Like, and do you know, those are the best kind of pints, aren't they? You feel a little bit bold in the pub. Yeah, the fireplace is going. You know, you should be in work and you're not in work. But,
did you say this was 2010?
Yeah, in around.
I was 12.
Fuck off.
Sorry, lads. Can't remember.
I always forget you're only a nipper, Quilter.
I'm feeling the age now. That's Jesus, especially now that it's 2025.
Have you got the provisional license? Do you?
I do not. You know that.
You still have the N sign up on the window shield.
Lethal altogether, like.
Some year for Irish MMA, wasn't it?
Yeah, we're here.
I just stole your transition, Ian, did I?
Oh, you're good. I was just going to let everybody know we're waiting for our first guest to come on here now, so that's why all the shite talking is happening here now. But let's talk a little bit of MMA while we are waiting for our first guest to come on. Shouldn't be too long now. Reflecting on the year, I kind of touched on it already, Andy. Maybe quickly reflecting on the year in 2024 for Irish MMA. I think in general terms, in mixed martial arts, you'll have like these roller coaster moments. You'll have highs, you'll have lows. And there's plenty of those in Irish MMA in 2024, inside and outside the cage, of course, as well. But as you reflect back on 2024 for Irish MMA, how do you reflect back on it?
Yeah, I thought it was a really good year overall. Like it was a roller coaster year for Irish MMA. But I suppose if you look at it from the top down, like our at the highest level, we had the likes of Paul Hughes, of Ian Gary, and others fighting in the UFC, in PFL. Carl Moore competing for a Bellator title. But yeah, Paul Hughes is what stands out for me in 2024. It was kind of the year of Paul Hughes in a number of ways. Obviously, he started it in Cage Warriors, had that whole kind of free agency part, and he kind of suddenly elevated from being the talk of Ireland and the UK to suddenly the world is looking at him, and then he goes in and has this amazing run, obviously culminating in the win over AJ McKee. A great year for him. Ian Gary, a couple of punches away from putting himself in title contention in the UFC is absolutely magical. He had a phenomenal year, but also even say outside of those are kind of like maybe the peak performers, I would say, across Irish MMA. There's so many fighters who've broken on to the professional scene, or maybe even not broken on. Like I started compiling a list when we were thinking about doing this of basically undefeated professional fighters who either made their pro debut last year or are kind of, in the early stages of their career. And the list is kind of like 15, 20 long, where there's so many.
You made the effort there. I see it in the document here. Have a look at it here. I can kind of help you out at the start here.
Yeah, and I've probably missed because I have undiagnosed ADD, so I definitely got distracted. So
the problem with reading out lists now, there's always going to be someone that's.
I'm going to forget. But I'll go through. I think what I did it was those who made their pro debuts. So you've got Omar Tugarev went 5-0 in 2024. Conor McCarthy 3-0. George Grozov 3-0, Tiernan Loughran 3-0, Brian Manning 2-0, Craig McGrattan 2-0, Kieran Brady 2-0, Jamie Abbott Bissett got a win 1-0, Mario Di Stefano, Owen McDonald, Damien McKenna all 1-0. They all made their professional debuts, and then you've got other fighters, the likes of Solomon Simon 5-0, Dom Norcus 4-0, Max Lally 3-0, Jack Core 2-0, Emer Darcy, Owen Sheridan also 2-0, Lewis Byrne. I think actually he made his pro debut this year, didn't he? Lewis Byrne. 1-0, and look, I'm sorry, I've definitely forgotten a heap of people. I was kind of trying to do it off the top of my head to an extent. Didn't work very well, but
it's a good indicator.
There's a new wave breaking through.
Quilter, when you look back at the wave of talent that's coming through and what they produce this year, it's very promising signs for the years ahead, really, isn't it?
It is, yeah. If I look at, I guess, the last few 2-3 years, I think year on year we've had this kind of collection of prospects from the amateur ranks that people were really excited about break through into the pro ranks. Like if I take, maybe is it last year we had Lee Hammond and ones like that, maybe it's the year before, the years all combine into one. But you've got like the likes of Solomon Simon, they're like kind of different waves. And now this year we've had this kind of these emerging prospects from the year before that we had that have all gone pro. Like you've got the likes, as you know, as Andy said there, you know, Conor McCarthy, Max Lally. I think one that was missing there that came to the top of my head, like you've got Keith Keogh. Like every single gym seems to have kind of these guys that were top prospects in their gym all turning pro now. And it's kind of this really nice and cool transitionary phase, because I think for some of them, we watched them since maybe they were, you know, some of them from when they were making their amateur debut, and now you're seeing them enter the pro ranks. And now this year, for a lot of them, you look at them and you're watching them and thinking, okay, this could be their breakout year. And I think that's really cool. And that's what kind of stood out a lot to me last year from that side of things as well. And just, you know, it kind of shows the growth, especially after the pandemic. Like it was, Irish MMA was in a pretty dire spot really in terms of shows that we didn't know what was going to happen. And now it's all exciting. There's shows going. I know some have, in the likes of Cage Legacy, have gone, and then we've had some that come about, the likes of Elite FC, and shows are going on, fighters are coming through, and yeah, it's been incredible. Like the year gone has been huge and really promising for what's to come.
For sure. Everyone is excited apart from Khabib Nurmagomedov, but we might talk about that a little bit later on. Let's talk about Paul Hughes again, lads. Obviously, SevereMMA fighter, Irish Fighter of the Year. Much deserved, I think. You know, we were kind of talking about and hinting at this friendly competition that has been going on for a number of years between Paul Hughes and Ian Garry as to who is the best, who's the most prominent Irish mixed martial arts fighter between the two. But I think, you know, if you accumulate both of their skill sets and who they both are as fighters, I think we're very lucky to have two absolutely phenomenal elite level fighters that are representing Irish mixed martial arts. And you know, Paul Hughes, I feel did the better work this year and thoroughly deserved to get the Irish Fighter of the Year award, Andy. And I'm not going to put words in your mouth. I can say that I feel he deserved it. I think you probably feel the same, and saying that he did deserve it this year around, especially after that tremendous performance against AJ McKee, and a huge 25 for him, starting almost immediately in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and like I picked Paul Hughes, but I do think, like, you look at Ian Garry's year, he beat was it Jeff Neal, MVP, and then obviously, you know, he had the loss to Shavkat. The level of competition that he's gone in the UFC is mad. But I do think
there's still an argument there
there's still an argument even though he's lost. But I think that it's just, and literally, it's, as I said, you know, he not only was a couple of punches away from a title shot in the UFC, I'm sure more importantly to him, from winning the Irish Fighter of the Year award. Like that's got to be right up there for him. But look, I think it just goes to show the level of respect that Paul has after that year. You know, obviously, look, he had the KOs over Fabiano Silva and Bobby King. They're not on the level of Jeff Neal or an MVP, but that win over AJ McKee, like that is absolutely phenomenal. But he's putting himself into position, it's title contention. He's risen, even just out from. I know we look at things inside the cage, but you do look at it outside the cage as well. And like the rise that he has had in the last year is something special. And now obviously only a couple of weeks away from him fighting for the Bellator title against undefeated 18-0 Usman Nurmagomedov. We had Ian Garry fighting an undefeated 18-0 fighter only a few weeks ago, and now we've got it again in Paul. So look, both lads, both have a claim to win that award this year. They're both absolute credits in the cage to Irish MMA. And the future is very bright. We've got a very, very exciting time now at the moment, despite what Khabib Nurmagomedov thinks.
Indeed. We might talk a little bit about that a little bit later on as well. But Quilcha, I'm sure you would agree. Look at not to the great surprise of anyone who's been following Paul Hughes very closely, but it's similar enough to what Andy said. I think, you know, breaking out as a worldwide prospect and a worldwide fighter, I think is 2024 was the year for Paul Hughes, where he proved that he does belong with the elite of the sport in mixed martial arts.
Yeah, and like you see it now as well with the way PFL are getting behind him. I think I mentioned during the week on Twitter that the promotional work being done, and I guess even what happened with the whole Khabib situation has helped the promotion this fight and really build the profile of it. But as well as that, build the profile of Paul, and he's done a lot of that work himself the last year with, I guess, the performances from Cage Warriors, then straight into PFL, and then obviously the big one that we've all spoke about in AJ McKee Jr. And now he's that world level star now. He's the one. He's a name for PFL is how I look at it after the year he's had and the wins he's had, and he got that reward with this fight that's coming up. And if he wins this, then wow, like it's where do you place him with a win like this? Where does he go? And you look at it and it's so exciting. But as you mentioned, it was definitely the year for Paul Hughes, whatever, and he definitely deserves Irish Fight of the Year. And I'll give it back to you, Ian, as the chaos begins, if you want to take over.
Yeah, we have our first guest here who's dropping in. Jack Maguire joins us now, the winner of the Auld Triangle of the Year award. Jack Maguire for his triangle choke victory in his last fight. Tremendous win and a tremendous 2024 for you, Jack. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for taking the time. I know you had some technical difficulties there, but we're back in action now.
As always, I had a bit of difficulties in my last fight as well. A lot of technical difficulties. But what the hell did I win?
I probably should have told you this when we set this up, Jack. Every year we do an Auld Triangle of the Year award where some fighter in Ireland, in this case you, that gets an Auld Triangle or gets a triangle choke finish in their fight, we will pick it as Auld Triangle Choke of the Year, and you get a hoodie for your troubles. So we'll be giving you a hoodie.
These hoodies here. We'll give it to Quilsha to give it to you though, because normally Andy doesn't get the 2022 winner is still waiting for his hoodie from Andy Stevenson. So I don't know whether he likes to keep him and wear it himself or something, Jack. But
as you can see, the two lads are wearing theirs. They've already taken mine off my back to give to you. So I actually begrudge you, Jack. I begrudge you here now.
Well, lads, thanks for that. I'm honoured. It's my first time hearing of it, but I'm honoured.
There you go. Looking back at your 2024, Jack, how do you look back on it? I'm sure you look back on it fairly fondly, coming back off a 4-year layoff, of course, and picking up 2 wins over in Fight to 1, and obviously the last big win there against Russell in Oktagon 63. You must be very happy with 2024 and how it's worked out for you.
Yeah, absolutely delighted. Just after as you said, the big break off, just to get back in there and then get a second one in the year, and I had 1 or 2 pullouts as well. So as far as things went, I'm happy how it ended and got into the Christmas with 2 in the back pocket. So it'll be nice to start 2025 again now.
Indeed, yeah. What are you looking ahead for 2025? Obviously, you'll probably want to get in there again with Oktagon. A cracking win in your last fight too. Which kind of sets up a couple of good fights for you. And Oktagon have been doing really good. Obviously, we were talking to Will Fleury, and he's very happy with the setup there. And it's been a massive year for them as a promotion too. And it must be good for you to be a part of it.
No, it was brilliant. I was very, very impressed with the setup over there and just how much they looked after us, and they kind of covered all angles even when I was over there. So definitely made the whole experience a bit easier, that you're looked after and all that. So yeah, I have options open. I have offers about this contract or that contract and whatnot. But it was a waste for me to be thinking what I was going to do in January, because I was coming into the Christmas and, I'm like be making all the plans in the world for January, and I definitely would not have made weight for it. So I would, and it'd be nice to try and stick the bantamweight with Oktagon now again. Even I just took a fight short notice against someone much bigger, and which probably wasn't a great idea in hindsight. But no, I'm excited to see what I can do with bantamweight in a place like Oktagon and who they have to offer. I also have to check who are their bantamweights. I don't know who they are either. So I'd have to figure it all out now. But plan is now for this year just to January, February, March, just training to get better and not being a deficit in fight camp and just ruining the body. Just start getting better now for the first 3 months, and after 3 months, look from April onwards to book. So that's plenty of time to get 3 fights easily between then, all going well. So we'll see where it goes. Just stay away from the chocolate and hit the training hard and get better and not be in a fight camp mode all the time.
Jack. As the lad said, like the you won the L Triangle of the Year award, and the reason why you won it, like, was the comeback nature of that submission. It was absolutely incredible. Of course, we're talking about your Octagon debut, but you were in a spot of bother there. And that's what made it so special. What was going through your head, obviously in the moments leading up to you locking in that triangle choke and pulling it out of the fire?
I was like, please God, can the referee just jump in here and put me out of my misery? And even the whole time I was like, my brother's going to kill me, and Barry and Scully, the coach, they're just going to kill me, because I'm absolutely ignoring everything they're saying and I'm being way too stubborn, I just fought terribly, and I was like, I can't believe I've let this happen to myself. But if the ref jumps in now, at least I can go home and it's over. But the fucker never jumped in, and I just had to keep getting battered. No, it was mad in the moment. In the moment, you're just stuck in there, and you're just trying to figure out the next thing to do and just try and stay safe. But I was just way too stubborn. He challenged me to box him, and it was the only thing he had. The only thing he had in his game. I could have grappled him and wrestled him straight away, and I'd say I could have had him out of there way much earlier. But I heard the challenge, and I said, it'd be good crack to try and beat him in his own game in his home crowd, and that was a huge mistake anyway on the night. So it was nice that when he came down, I couldn't believe it. He just came straight down. But fair enough, he probably thought I was finished, and I probably did look. I was in the fetal position at one point, so I would probably jumped on myself. But the fact he came down, I was delighted, because I whipped up the triangle with everything I had anyway. So it was a good old triangle.
It was a great triangle.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was incredible. You said kind of going into that, you didn't know how you would feel, or as far as MMA was concerned, you were kind of wetting your feet again back in the competitive landscape. How are you feeling? It sounds like you're all, full steam ahead now, heading into 2025. Are you excited again?
Yeah, absolutely. I was took a bit of time now. Just I didn't actually do much training at all after the last fight. I had to heal up loads. My body was definitely pretty sore. My face was pretty sore, but I'm looking forward to actually putting on a clinical Jack Maguire, not a stubborn and scrappy Jack Maguire. It's nice to know that I got into a situation where I didn't fight well, I didn't fight smart, and I was getting beaten and still able to pull something back. That's nice to know I have that in me. But that I want to keep those performances to a minimal, and hopefully that's the last one. But try and get the clinical Jack back now, and be strict outside the gym and get the bantamweight going, and kind of put a good run at bantamweight with anyone, even Oktagon, or Oktagon would been very nice. I'd be very quick to go back to them too. So yeah, feeling good, feeling excited, looking to go.
When would be an ideal time for you to return, Jack?
For me, I'd say I'd be thinking April time onwards. If something came up there, I'm heading over to my buddy John in end of February, just for maybe a week and a half, and Paul Buckley's over there too, so I'll be over kind of training with them too at the end of February, March. So I want to be able to go over them and actually be, as I said, not on a deficit and be kind of weight cutting and be injury prone. I'd like to get over and enjoy the training and enjoy that experience too. So get back after that, get a good month in Cork, and book from then on and see what happens.
Obviously, John has a fight coming up, and I know you're going over to see him, but how do you see that one going now, since it's only around the corner?
John's fight?
Yeah.
I'd be lying now if I said I knew who he was fighting. Is this the boxing or the MMA one?
He's fighting on he's fighting on that same card as Paul Hughes out in Dubai.
Yes, that one.
Yeah.
Or the MMA one. Oh yeah, no, that'd be, just you'd always be confident in John. Just with John, it's he's a ferocious trainer, great mindset. You're never worried about him, So someone like John, that's been part of the start of my career, and seeing where he's going, it's just, I'd never be worried. I'd always be very confident no matter who John is in there with. And again, just looking forward to that one. And I think he takes it hands down again. And I find that most times if John got in a spot of bother, he's training all the time, and he's very, very experienced for someone his age and where he's at. He's definitely a favorite no matter what time he gets into the cage.
I guess a big part of big part of this entire podcast for to start the new year is we're looking back in 2024. We've looked back on some of your performances from the year, but I guess from a gym's perspective as well, there's probably no one better to have an insight as to how it's gone for you all. And I guess for MMA Cork, it's been a massive year. I guess with you've got Brian turning pro, yourself, you're back in, and even the show that's been set up with Elite, with Barry running it. Can you just kind of recap the year for you and guess the stand? What's the highlight for MMA Cork this year for you?
Oh geez, there's been a lot of good things for MMA Cork this year. There's like Paul made his pro debut, Paul Buckley at the start of the year, Brian making his pro debuts, and like his pro debut and getting the second fight in. And just in terms of highlight, it's just the gym is always ever and ever growing, and we're dealing with issues now where we're not used to, in terms of like we actually have a lot of people in the gym who are trying to compete at high levels. So like we're dealing with how to manage that and how to deal with that and the amount of competitors. And I'd say like if you look up any event, a jiu-jitsu tournament, an MMA novice tournament, MMA leagues, MMA amateurs, there's someone from MMA Cork on it, which is great. So it, in terms of highlight throughout the year, just the gym atmosphere and the excitement almost every weekend because someone's up fighting and you have to be there for them, so it's a great camaraderie around the place. Like whereas before it was just maybe me and three others might have been fighting and we were just the same training partners. So like you'd be on the same show but waiting, but week in, week out there's someone has something in there asking someone this or needing help in that. So in terms of highlight for me personally, I wouldn't really be my fights. It'd be more the gym growing, the excitement in some of the teens coming through. That's great to see for me because I was a teen before, started a bit late when MMA wasn't as big, but getting to see what these kids have now is absolutely fantastic. So me personally, that side of things. But on a personal side, with my own fighting and a more selfish side, I'm delighted that I got even one fight in this year after the break. But other than that, it's same as always, really.
Well, hopefully you get a couple of more now in 2025. You're not on the shelf too much, and congratulations on a great 2024, Jack. Congratulations on the Auld Triangle of the Year award as well. Even though it was a bit of a surprise to you, and hopefully we'll be talking to you again closer up to your next fight, and hopefully it's sooner rather than later, Jack. We really appreciate you coming in and taking the time to speak with us today. Congrats on a good 2024, and we wish you all the best in 2025, my man. Thank you.
Cheers, as you too. All right, take care.
All the best.
Cheers, Jack.
Bye-bye. I have to hang up now. Figure that out.
Well, that's all right. No worries.
It doesn't surprise me, Jack, somehow now.
I'm going to kick you.
Just turn off the phone.
From one Cork man to another Cork man, we'll transition here fairly lively to Fufu Fares, who joins us after a massively successful 2024 and a very exciting 2025 ahead for you, Fufu. Obviously, I guess I'll start with the news that you kind of broke yourself the last day or two. You're making the decision to turn professional in 2025.
I think it's time now. I've been in the amateur game for a while. I've put in the graft. I think it's time for professional for 2025.
Well, nice one. Yeah, very, very exciting news as well. Your 2024, how did you see your 2024? Obviously, you were very, very active throughout the year, competing at the Worlds as well, Europeans, obviously, and on the domestic scene too. So you got action on all areas of the world. It kind of primed you up nicely for the move to professional in 2025, I would assume.
Yeah, for sure. I had 9 fights in 2024. I went 8-1. I didn't even notice myself that I was on an 8-fight winning streak till looking at it at the end of the year. One thing I love is I love staying active, and I think now it's just going to the pro ranks and slowly building myself up to what I want to be.
Can I ask, are you in Cork now, or are you all the way over in Spain?
So I'm actually living in Spain for the next year. I'm still a college student. I'm a business student. So myself and my friends are doing an Erasmus program, which you go to another country and you study in that country. So I'm currently studying in University of Alicante. But it actually is amazing because I'm training in Climate, Elite Poirier's gym. I've actually done the World Championship, 2024 World Championship camp in there, and it's been amazing. New bodies, different stuff. I'm loving it here. Like,
Have you had the chance to train with Ilya? Have you seen him around yet, or even his brother? His brother Alexandre, does he train there as well?
yeah, his brother's is on the mats a good few times, and the Georgian UFC fighter too. I've forgot his name. He fought Jordan Cage Warriors guy.
Yes.
Yeah. But I haven't actually seen Ilya Topuria yet, unfortunately. No.
Is that Guram Kutateladze? Is that his name?
That's the guy, yeah.
Come on, Andy.
Yeah.
What have they figured out yet that, because I guess from looking at the way you fight, you'd see it. You've seen it at the World, you see it, and regardless of what setting you're in, you do fight with that kind of that striking Max Holloway type of style. It's seen as based off of. Have they copped yet that you're a bit of a Max Holloway fan?
I was kind of keeping it down on the down low when Ilya Topuria was fighting Max. I kind of didn't really say much. But yeah, I fucking love Max Holloway. My biggest goal is Max Holloway to corner me in a UFC fight. That's the goal. So I hope no one kills me in climate, but I still love Max.
You're going to have to call Ilya Topuria now out to the centre of the cage in the sparring session, point down to the canvas, Fufu, and challenge him there after him getting the nod over Max earlier on this year. But it must be very cool to be in a gym environment like that, where you got obviously UFC world champion, one of the best fighters in the world, in my opinion, right now, in Ilya Topuria. Because when you got a guy like that, it breeds confidence into the rest of the gym, I would assume.
Yeah, for sure. Everyone there is really nice too. Even when I first joined the gym in September, I didn't really know how to expect it. Am I just gonna get like beat up, or how's it gonna go? And everyone there was so nice to me, and they welcomed me in, and it really is good to actually be training there until July, and I'll see how it goes from there.
Fufu, you've been on the amateur scene a long time. Obviously, you're transitioning to pro now, but like the last year, you really took a leap. Obviously you had great success. You talked about that winning streak that you went on as well. Did anything, like, was it something that clicked for you, or like what do you credit for that kind of streak of success that you've had recently?
It really, you know what? I actually really do believe I haven't even hit like my full potential. Like I like looking at myself and looking at my amateur career, I think I've hit like 50% of my potential. Obviously, I'm growing and stuff, and I'll reach more. But I think I could show so much better. And even a lot of people think of me as a striker, but when I was in the Worlds, I got 2 subs. I think I really am like growing as a full athlete, and like not just a striker. I'm the full package. With the last year going on an A5 winning streak, it's just putting the head down and grinding for it. Like, I've been in this game for 10 years now. Like, before, like, I'm 14-7-1 if I'm correct. Before that, I've had like 20 odd K1 fights. I've been doing this for a long time now. It's just a matter. I'm just getting my rewards, I would say.
You're talking about your record there, Fufu, and 14-7-1, a very extensive amateur career. But I hear a lot of fighters talking at this stage of their career, and I'm wondering if you have the same mentality, as that you're now a 0-0 professional fighter and you're starting back from scratch again. When you're looking at your game and moving into the professional ranks, obviously, a lot of amateur fighters, the idea of being able to throw elbows, the idea of 2 extra minutes in a round heading in there is very, exciting for a lot of fighters. And I'm sure with your style, I definitely feel that 5-minute round is going to suit your style a hell of a lot better than what you had to do with the 3-minute rounds in the amateur game.
For sure, I can finally throw them elbows and jumping knees to the head. I do. I've been waiting for it. I've been practicing the elbows and the knees to the head and stuff. And for sure, when I make that debut, you're going to see a lot of that stuff.
How do you want to build yourself as a professional, Fufu? Like, I mean, are you looking for, obviously, I think a problem with a lot of up and coming fighters now is sometimes, even though there is a lot of promotions, it can be hard to get matched in some areas. Is there any particular route that you would like to go? And obviously, living in Spain now, with Ilya at the top of his game. It's breathing a new breath of life into mixed martial arts in Spain with a few shows in Tenerife and I'm sure in other places as well. Are you looking to kind of cut your teeth on the regional scene in Spain? Are you looking to come back to Ireland? Are you looking to kind of maybe get with a promotion? What are you thinking is your path forward in the early stages of your professional career, I guess?
At the moment in time, I'm kind of eyeing up a really good professional show, professional promotion, and I think most likely I will be making my debut on it. I won't be saying what I will. I won't be
go
saying,
on, say it. No.
Miss any juicy
and we-
exclusives?
Hey, I'm hoping to make my professional debut sometime late February, early March. That's the
Can
goal.
you give us a hint as to maybe a little teaser? Like, don't tell us. Just give us a little sprinkle of teaser there.
You know what? There has been a couple. I've actually when I was an amateur mid 2024, I was getting offered professional fights, and now that I'm a professional, I've actually got offered a couple of fights. But I think I'm looking at this route, and I think this is the best one for me that I'm looking at. Just once everything's sealed and done, I can't wait to announce it myself. It's just
That's
I
fair.
gotta keep it down for now until everything's good.
Is there anyone out there that you have your eye on? Like, we were talking earlier on before you came on. There's so many fighters that have broken through into the professional scene from Ireland now. Are you the type of guy that would rather maybe not fight against other Irish fighters as a pro? Obviously, you fought a lot of Irish fighters as an amateur, but like, would you prefer not to, or would you be eyeing up maybe some fighters to try and establish yourself as the best in the country?
To be honest, it doesn't really faze me whether I fight an Irish person or from another country. It doesn't. Whatever I have to do to get where I want to go, and that's the UFC. I'm going to do it. In the promotion that I'll be going to, if there's an Irish guy there, it doesn't faze me. I will take the fight, no problem.
Does the ultra running take a hit now that you're training for a professional fighter as these crazy 100-kilometer runs continue as part of fight camp?
You know, I've done a lot as an amateur and the ultra running and stuff, but I'm taking this, like, when 2025 hit, I was like, okay, I'm officially a professional athlete. Like, I know I'm still in college and stuff, and I'm done college in July, but like, my mentality has completely changed. Like, this is literally, like, it's been my life. I won't say, like, I'm not saying, oh, this is going to be my life. I've been, like, this is my life, but it's just my mentality changed. Like, this is how I'm going to be made. Like, not that I really, like, it's my first option or my first thing, but this is how I'm making money. This is how, like, there's a lot more stakes into it. So there's, like, I'm really, really putting my head down and I'm coming for it all, like.
Brilliant. Look, it's been quite the year for you, and you train over in Spain, teasing us about your pro debut. I can imagine I can speak for all of us here and say we're extremely excited to see what's next. And look, Fufu, thank you so much for taking the time, and looking forward to seeing when the pro debut is announced.
Yeah,
Thank you.
congratulations
Thanks for having me
on a phenomenal year as well. That's a great
Yeah.
run you went on an amateur, so congratulations.
Very excited to see you in the professional ranks too, Fufu. All the best to you. Thanks for taking the time, man.
Thank you.
All right, we go again. We're back again with Team KF's Omran Chaaban joins
What's up,
the show
guys?
hot and heavy here on the Auld Triangle. How are you doing, Omran? Like we said, we're bringing a lot of guests on, and we are going over 2024s for fighters looking ahead to 2025. It looks like you've had a pretty busy Christmas time, a big shiner on you there. You're obviously in there getting some work in, getting prepared for 2025 after a massive 2024.
Brother, for me, obviously, I don't celebrate Christmas or like it's for me normal, and the lads been down training, and yeah, hopefully soon I will announce what's coming up. But like, yeah, I had a busy 2024, like first couple of months. I had in 2.5 months I had like one title fight, 5 rounds, and 2 fights after that in Ultimate Fighter. So yeah, I was recovering, training, getting better with my team, and yeah, man. Now it's 2025, and looking forward.
How do you look back at your year in 2024? Obviously, the big one for you was the entry into the Ultimate Fighter House. Great experience. Picked up a couple of great wins, represented yourself and Team KF excellently on that show. That must have been a fantastic experience for you.
Yeah, like look, going there as a 23 years old, and I was like, just straight after the title fight. I'll be honest with you, like when I went there, like it was so short time from the title fight that I wasn't fully healed even from the fight, and it was a 5-round fight as well. But like, man, I felt great. Be honest with you, there, even with like in middleweights as well, I felt great. And like, look, I'll be honest, I felt like I could do much better, But it's different because behind the scenes there, things happens. Nobody knows about it. You don't have your team, It's so different than just like when you have your team, your own camp. But man, like, thank God for everything. Everything went good, so I can't complain. Look, I'd be happier if I just went there and beat everyone. But like, I think if you go look semi-final against Ryan Lawyer, very high level middleweight, who I think like is gonna do very well in the UFC, now, and it was very tight, fight with him, and yeah, man, I like can't complain. Thank God I'm healthy. This is important, and yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to Chris in around that fight when I looked at it with Ryan Loader, and I feel you were probably 2 to 3 punches away from taking that. It was such a close fight. Up a weight class, against, a very good undefeated guy as well. Those are the kind of tests and those are the kind of questions you need to be really asking yourself at this stage of your career. And, even though it didn't maybe go your way in the semi-finals, I think you answered a lot of questions and, gave yourself a good lot of cannon fodder to work on, build yourself as a fighter going into 2025, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Omran, what was your highlight of the year? Obviously, we're talking about tough there, but you had that 5-round UAE Warriors title fight. You won the belt in kind of like a comeback fashion as well. It was a brilliant win. But then you go on, of course, to go into the Ultimate Fighter, as Ian was just talking to you about there. What was your highlight of the year?
Man, I'll be honest with you, I took every event like by itself, so there's nothing like, wow, this happened. Like when I went to the Ultimate Fighter, yeah, it was cool, but like I went there and I just had like one mission to do. Like I didn't like, it wasn't for me like crazy. Like even when they called me after my fight, I was like, just give me a week to see like what things are, But yeah, like you look, the title fight was great, and just I think fighting 3 guys beginning of the year that everybody had like almost undefeated records, very good fighters, and 3 fighters that are UFC level fights, like because they are UFC level fights. So I think that's the biggest thing, especially like beginning of the year, like still at this stage of my career to have that's great, man. And going to the Ultimate Fighter, seeing the PI, training with good guys, and yeah, man, everything, like I'm blessed, man. Yeah, like everything that happened was a highlight, and I'll be honest, now I feel like, I fought best wrestlers, I fought strikers, like I don't care anymore like who comes, like I'm just above levels, so yeah.
You made a great point there about the experience that you've gained. Like that, like it's phenomenal, especially as you said, the 5-round fight, but then additionally that the activity and the experience, not just in the cage, but as you mentioned, being around the UFC, getting familiar with that area, like the facilities, all that stuff, the personnel in there. We actually spoke with Paddy. Obviously, Paddy McCarry was on Tough with you, and he was kind of saying to us after the fact that he's actually quite happy. He's still very, very young, and he's quite happy to be back in Cage Warriors and to go on a tear now over his next few fights, and then come back to the UFC when he believes he is truly ready, so that he can go in and make an impact. How do you feel about that? Like you're I think you're younger than Paddy, right? So like, How do you feel about that whole kind of concept? Like, would you prefer to be just in the UFC right now, or are you happy to get a bit more experience outside of it first?
Man, like I'll be honest with you, and I'm honest to myself. I think if I go now to a welterweight division in the UFC, you put most of the names, like I beat them right now. I know this, like, I've trained with guys, like, with UFC guys, with very high level guys, and we're talking about the elites in that division now, and like I think I can stand with anyone there. So I know that, and training with lots of guys in the UFC, I'm like there's nothing special, like just they are in the UFC, like doesn't mean anything. It's just organization, the fight is gonna be the same. So I really feel if you put me now, like that Renat fight in last year, like end of the year, when I called it, people like, are you crazy? No, if they give me that guy, I'm beating that guy. Like I know his record is, but like go look at his record, it's like a little bit like, questionable. But yeah, like I definitely feel, and me and my team feel like, yeah, that I'd be good.
Omran, in the last year, I guess you used to be the only Finnish fighter that competed in Team KF, and one of I guess Finland's other top prospect decided to make the journey over and join you in Team KF in Omar Tugarev.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about what your I guess your influence in his decision and your impact, or I guess your relationship with him for him to come over to Ireland?
You want to ask him? He's there.
Oh yeah, he can join us.
Come on.
Go on,
Bring
get
him
in.
in.
Where are you right now? Are you in KF or do you live together, or what's the story?
No, we're not now in KF, but here he is.
Hello, lads. How are you?
Good.
Hey, Omar.
Hey, Omar, nice to meet you.
Good.
Did you give
So,
Omar
ask
that
him.
shiner there?
Bro, actually, it wasn't shiny. You know what it was? It was the glove. It went like. But yeah.
Nasty.
It wasn't the lad throwing the punch with the glove on, no?
Omar, since we have you, can you tell us about what made you decide to join Team KF, and what influence did Omran have in that decision?
So when I come to Ireland, I just wanted to get like 3 weeks fast camp with like good guys. I had then like my professional debut, and like I need to be honest, like I was in deep waters like first 2 weeks, like the pace was crazy, like skills, fighters like skills was different level. So I was like, that's what I need, like good guys, like small team, loyal team. And yeah, after that I had chat with the Chris, and then I think the connection was very good. So I was like, it's like the home. After first week, I felt that.
And you're competing again soon. Is it Cage 65 on Cage on the Beach, if I'm right? Is it? Or do you have a fight on that?
Yeah, but I'm fighting like 2 weeks till my next fight. I'm gonna tell you, it's on UAE Barrios. I'm gonna fight against I think guy is from Zambia. He's 6-1, good guy. So it's gonna be a big fight. 2 prospects gonna meet each other.
Brilliant. What's the weight class?
It's gonna be catch weight 72.5 kilo. So yeah.
Brilliant. And is so you've got this one coming up, and I presume you're still fighting on Cage as well, all going well.
Yeah, that's the plan. So yeah, I have main event now in Cage. It's gonna be huge. Like I think it's gonna be my last fight before UFC come to Finland. In Finland, like.
That was exactly what I wanted. What's the what's the end goal for the year? Are you expecting a win in UAE Warriors, a win at Cage, and is the eye on something like the Ultimate Fighter, like what Omran did, or are you looking at UFC by the end of the year?
I want to have chat with Chris. Like whatever Chris gonna tell, we will go with that. But if I will be like ready, Chris will gonna tell me like you ready. I think we're gonna go like Contender Series or something like that. So yeah, whatever Chris say, we're gonna go with that. I just like show up, train as hard as I can, learn, and then just the team is deciding what we're gonna do next.
Sure, we can always. You should ask him now. Actually, I think you should ask Chris right now what the plan is.
What is this?
The two boys talking shit, were they?
Don't tell them, guys. Don't tell him, yeah?
I'm gonna watch this back. Someone's getting leg kicked in the gym. There were the two guys just telling you that they moved out of the gym today. They informed you.
Yeah, tell them. Bye, yeah.
You didn't tell them. You're in your new place.
New guy.
This is their new place.
Yeah.
Love it.
They're living the good life now. They're living the good life. You know, no more cold gym in December for the boys.
Yes.
What did Omran tell you about it? Because you've been living in the gym also, right? Because obviously Omran has been living in the gym or was living in the gym for a long time. Was he saying, this is a luxury 5-star hotel, or how did he describe it to you before coming over?
So the thing is, like, in Finland, everyone thinking like Omran is living in hotel, he is living like good life, sponsored everything. But when you come to Ireland, when I come first time, I was thinking I will have like my own room like.
So he comes to the gym, yeah, and like I didn't know, I thought he know like how I live, and then he was like, oh, like this is your room, and he was like, okay, and he looked and he was like, okay, and then we went up, and I wanted to show him like the changing room. There was woman and man, and then he was thinking in his head, he was like, oh, like which one should I get, this room or that room? He thought it was rooms. And then he was like, yeah, and I was like, yes, bro, like that's changing rooms and that's woman changing rooms. And then like he didn't tell me anything, and then I was like, yeah, there's a couch for you. And he was like, what? He's like, okay. And then, man, like first couple of days, it was January, so it was very cold. And this guy was like, he didn't talk much, but he was like freezing, man. He's like, I thought you like living in a nice hotel or something, eating fresh foods. I didn't know you use microwave meals, And I was like, yes, welcome to reality, my friend.
The luxurious life of a fighter.
I feel a bit bad that they've left now, because I kind of think that I don't know, that Spartan lifestyle I think is a good thing. We'll have to see now how soft this makes them, having like nice radiators and all that kind of stuff.
Brother, I was here 2 hours today, and I'm already like 200% recovered.
Yeah, that's what I mean. See, this is just softness creeping in. It's just softness. That tough exterior is gone now. Load of rest days coming up.
I think we're going back to the gym, today.
Chris, Omar was just kind of laying out. Well, we were just chatting about. He's obviously got the main event coming up on Cage 65, but additionally, he's got a fight coming up even sooner than that on UAE Warriors. His 2024. I remember you were kind of telling us, listen, you need to start looking out for this guy, Omar. He's a new guy in the gym. And then all of a sudden, we just see him competing and winning and finishing at a rate that is quite uncommon, I would say, at the professional level. But it seems that entering 2025, it's continuing as he means to go on and following on from 2024. Are we going to see Omar and Chris? Are we going to see the same level of activity in 2025? Because it's a lot. It's great to see, but it's a lot of activity.
Yeah, I like. So there's kind of this idea that people should have 3 fights a year, maybe 4. I'm not a big believer in that. I think it's mostly about how the fights go. So, if you're in absolute wars and it's like you're taking a lot of damage well, then maybe you shouldn't be fighting again in a few months. But if you've taken very little damage and you're smart, as we are, about your training, you after the fight, you're doing a lot of technical work. You don't need to be straight back into sparring because you're already fit, you're already ready to go. So you're just kind of going into the next fight camp. You haven't taken too much damage. I don't see that, especially early in your career, when people are paying you crazy money, well, you can spread them out a little bit. I think what happens to a lot of guys, especially if you look at high-level guys in the UFC, I think they just do these, like an 8 or 12 week camp, and then there's another 6 weeks of sitting around their hole doing nothing, and it's not really how we want to handle things. I also think that there's a good chance by by kind of September, October next year, that there's 3 or 4 guys in the UFC. Omar being one of them, obviously Omran being another. He's kind of leading the pack at the minute. you'd have to think like Leon Hill and Dom Narcus as well, pushing in that direction. So that's kind of the drive I'd like to make. And it seems like the UFC have cornered the market a little bit. So the way we used to do things, where you go through certain promotions, that gets the opportunities in the UFC. But it seems like now it's the Dana White's Contender Series has taken that away. So the local scene, as it were, not local, but like European scene, getting you the opportunities isn't really what it used to be. So I think aiming at getting lads in the Dana White Contender Series is probably, it's not my favourite way to go, but it's probably the best way to go at the minute.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you're spot on. That is the way that they seem to be looking at things these days. And look, I think after the 2024 that both of you lads have had, I think 2025 is going to be very exciting. Congratulations, Omran, on the UAE Warriors belt and tough. And congratulations, and nice to meet you, Omar, on your 2024 and all your success. And we're looking forward to seeing you back in the cage in a couple of weeks. What we might do is we might say goodbye to you lads and keep your coach to get the real information. You can go back to the plush swords apartment or wherever you're living now. And poor Chris is slaving in the gym here. Unfortunately, he's been kicked out. Thanks for joining, lads. And
thanks so much, lads.
Thanks,
all
lads.
the best.
See you in the morning.
See you soon, bro. Bye.
Now we have you alone now. Now we get the real
Let's
dirt.
talk shit. Let's talk shit.
The real dirt.
Chris, you've obviously had a great year. The gym's had a great year, obviously with Omran, with Dom, with Craig, with Omar, with loads of them, Leon. What's been your highlight, I guess, of 2024? We're using this episode as looking back on the year and celebrating the wins and the successes. And what's been your highlight?
Yeah, it's always a tough one for me. I hate this about myself, but it's just how I coach. So I spoke to the lads about this too. I generally look at what we're doing wrong, not what we're doing right a lot of the time. So I tend to most of my focus is on that. It's why I like guys like Cottle in the corner with me when I'm cornering, because I'll focus on what we need to improve for the next round. And Cottle then, I couldn't tell you. It's why you never hear me say, right, you've won, you're ahead 2 rounds, coast now. I don't really have that mentality. I'm just trying to fix whatever issues we have from the last round. So I like having Cottle and stuff there to inform me. Tom's good at that too. And it's kind of the same with the lads' fights. Obviously, like Omran winning the title and the way he won it was quite emphatic. James winning the title. James being James too, like, you know, my first, my last, my everything, you know. You know, they're special moments for me to share with lads that I'm hoping, like, you know, like with all these guys, I kind of have a thing that I want to, maybe not with the 2 boys there because they won't, but you know, later on we sit down when we're a bit older and I'm even grayer and have a couple of pints and chat about all these cool things we got to do together, you know. So obviously James, Omran stands out, but like I get as much a kick out of lads winning an amateur fight up in IUR. You see me in the corners, I'd be gone wrong, jumping around like a lunatic.
I don't think we see you, but we certainly hear you.
You know, because for me, like, I put a lot, like, I don't know, like, you know, you spoke to lads from my team, but I put a lot in, like, and the only way I can do that is if I have a close relationship with guys. It's one of the reasons I keep the team to the amount of guys that I have. And it's one of the reasons you see me so passionate in the corner, because, like, if I don't like someone, they're not going to train in my team. I know that sounds a bit shitty, but I feel like I'm not going to give them what they want if I don't like them. And I'm not going to give them my best work. So I like to have a close relationship with all the guys. And so then, like, you know, say like Glenn winning an AMI fight in IUR is huge to me because I love the kid and I want him to do well. And then obviously James winning a title is massive to me. Leon, the way he won that fight, massive to me, you know. And watching Omar's run, is massive. Craig and Dom been with me since they're young teenagers. So you have this like emotional attachment to the lads. So they definitely have made me grayer, as you can see. The line is not doing me any favours here, but having that relationship drags that out of you, you know. So yeah, it's hard for me to pin one down. Just very happy to see the lads succeed and to see the graft that's been put in.
We'll bring in another guest in just a moment alongside you, Chris, here. But just before we do, I just want to ask you about that win for James. Obviously, he was your first Cage Warriors champion. You've been through a lot with him. He's had his ups and downs in the cage since then, taken some tough losses. But to come back and go up a weight class and reclaim gold again for the second time at a second weight class, I know you said you focus on the losses a lot more than you do the wins, but like that one has to have been special for you when you're so close with him.
Yeah, it's just kind of happy for like James to succeed. I know how good he is and how much work he's put in. He was the first one of those guys to come here. He had a worse room than Omran at the time. It was a tiny little room in the old gym, like the smallest box room we've ever seen. Sleeping beside my used, because I was still training, so my used rash guards and all that kind of stuff were shown in the room too, getting ready for the watch. So he kind of look, that's obviously very special, but it's mostly special because it's something that James really wanted to do, something that he wanted to tick off his box, and we're hoping to kind of build on that now. And kind of I kind of said the same thing to James that I kind of had said to myself when I was fighting: just give yourself a time frame, and then that's when you're out no matter what. And he's still in that now, and when that's done, he's just going to bounce. But I think he has a few fights left, and hopefully we should have some big fight news coming soon.
Brilliant to hear. You spoke about loving being up at the likes of Ur and having those amateur, or cornering the amateur guys. Well, there's a man you've cornered against many a times here who's after joining. And can I just say, we love you, Chris, but this man is joining from his honeymoon right now. Liam Shannon joins the L Triangle.
Hola.
Congratulations, bro. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Yeah. Thanks so much, Liam, for joining us on our honeymoon. Jesus, we felt bad after we reached.
Is your wife going to murder us?
No, good. Oh, good, lads. Of course. Always.
Anything to get away from her for a few minutes, huh?
Well, that's it, Chris. You know to crack yourself.
Where did you go? Where's the honeymoon?
We're over in Tenerife, and we're sitting at the bar right now. So we're
nice. My man, you looking all tan, the white t-shirt on the lot. I love it.
I'm tan and I'm jacked. The fuck, you know the crack.
Is that an extra small or what's that?
Oh no, that's a medium.
It's child's medium.
Exactly.
Lads, you've obviously cornered and against each other many times, but it seems that there's a great relationship between, obviously a healthy rivalry, but a great relationship and respect between FAI and KF. Would I have that right?
No, I can't stand them. Fucking hate them with a passion, man.
No, I learned that cunt score years ago and he never gave me it back, so I don't like him at all. No, 100%. Like Chris is like Chris and Tom are like me and Pat. You know what I mean? They really are a real kind of driven duo, and they have the same attributes as we have in terms of what they kind of feel for their fighters. So we have the exact same emotions and drive, and we see a lot of ourselves in them, and they probably think the exact same. So we love the boys to bits.
I kind of for me, I find like you were saying, a rivalry, but I think like for me and for Liam, that's needed to push you on. You need those lads there, and it is like it's like really healthy. I actually messaged Liam because after an Ami show recently, I kind of got pissed off after the result and then acted like a bit of a cock, and I messaged Liam, and I wouldn't do that for any other coach. I messaged him saying, "Here, man, sorry, but that was a bit of an arsehole there, but you know how it is." And he says, "I know exactly how you are, Chris. No stress on that. You're a wanker."
I love it. I love it. Well, that's
Chris.
Yeah.
No,
go ahead, Andy.
No, I was just going to say, Chris, we're going to boot you off. We're going to respectfully boot you off in a minute because we're running thick and fast here with guests coming on. But congratulations.
But Liam, Shannon, thank you very much. Shannon, congratulations. You're a legend.
Yes,
enjoy the honeymoon.
Good to see you, bro.
See you later, lads. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thanks a lot, Chris. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. All right, Pat. Thanks. We said we'd bring you in. Sorry.
Oh, jeez.
Okay.
2 so on. That's
all right. That's my bad. Those transitions.
We're turning sabers.
Yeah, go on. Take it sober, sure, if you can. Brilliant.
Yeah, hey.
Perfect. Brilliant. Liam, first of all, congratulations on a hugely successful 2024. The Severe MMA Gym of the Year, Severe MMA Fighter of the Year, and Severe MMA Amateur of the Year. I think those 3 awards kind of showcases the hard work that you've been doing over the last number of years, but it's really come to further over the last couple of years with the fighters that you're bringing through, and 3 awards for the gym itself, and 2 fighter awards kind of showcases the work that you and the lads have been doing up there in the gym.
Yeah, it's so like kind of the award days, all the awards days, like we're so like kind of we feel so much gratitude getting them, because there is a lot of hard work over the years, the long days, the long nights, the sacrifice over the many years to get where we are now, and it's good to get some gratitude from like yourselves, who we rate very highly. That what we're doing is getting recognised, and like we have no doubt what we've done the past year has been really good, but we've also no doubt what we're going to do in the next year is going to even be even bigger.
Some of the highlights for you over the year, Liam, obviously there's plenty to kind of talk about. Obviously the big win for Paul, we kind of discussed that already. It was obviously a massive year for the gym. A couple of fighters in the UFC as well with Reese, a couple of fights there for him too. But what kind of stands out to you, or do you like to kind of pick something that stands out to you in 2024? Because I'm sure there's lots of highlights that we've seen at the highest level, but so obviously some for your amateur fighters as well. Is there anything that stands out to you?
Well, obviously the AJ fight was massive, because it was just almost like an exclamation mark on what we've always said about Paul and his belief. It was so funny being over in Saudi Arabia and obviously seeing like everyone doubting Paul, and afterwards, like literally, even before the result was announced, the owners and the promoters were straight over to us going like, he's are what they said he's are, like, and we always knew it. You know what I mean? And as Paul said in a lot of interviews, was it his coaches and his teammates always believed in him. So it's good to know that, like, that what we're doing, we know we're on the right path, and the professional way. The amateur side, like, there's so much. You know what I mean? Obviously, we beat McGuigan, won the title, and rightfully so. He would fight every week. That guy, he is so talented, and he's maturing so much. Obviously, he's turning professional next. But there's so much behind Damien too, like, as well. Mohamed Oliver, Corey, Tiernan, there's so much there. And then the younger guys. But as much as all these levels are so good, like I said to one of my coaches not too long ago, that in a smaller show, nobody really seen, nobody really heard of. It was a guy was in our gym who left from a previous gym, and the coach in the previous gym said to me that he had no hope. He wasn't a great kid. He wasn't this and that. And he won his first fight ever. And I was standing in his corner, and I said to the coach Adam beside me, and I says, that's one of the best achievements, because giving coaches who give up on people, who don't believe in people, and giving them their biggest fight they've ever had and win, that is just as important as the big nights. So even at the smallest, the guy having his first win means just as much to me, Pat, Adam, the rest of the coaches in the gym, as the big nights in PFL or UFC, whatever else.
I should have mentioned, along with the awards as well, another one of your fighters who picked up award, and that was Comeback of the Year, Ryan Curtis. Obviously, absolutely phenomenal and inspirational stuff from Ryan this year and what he's had to work through. And, you guys stood with him very closely and helped him along with his family and friends as well. It kind of highlights the togetherness that you have at FAI. And, to come through all of that together. And obviously Ryan was had the biggest battle, but you all rallied behind him. You got him going. You got him where he needed to be. And, to see him walking on to the FAI mats at the end of the year and to be awarded some awards by you guys as well, it's just really fulfilling and really kind of good to see. And I just wanted to highlight that as well. It must have been very special for you and the rest of the gym to see him go through that journey.
Yes, it was 11th of January last year. I remember when Pat said to me that Ryan hurt himself in the class, and then obviously as it materialised over the next few days, the severity of the injury, it was horrendous. And I remember going on, obviously we were keeping the ring hush, because we didn't obviously know the extent of it. And then on a Sunday morning at sparring, I had to address all the fight team at sparring, and there was like 40, 50 people up sparring, and I couldn't stop my emotions. I broke down crying. I couldn't even tell the boys, just cried my eyes out. And to see that and the depths of despair and people giving up on him, and what he not even just physically and mentally what he's gone through, emotionally too. Like, as people don't understand what he's been through emotionally. He's been like an emotional punch bag the last year on his own wee girl. Like, breaks his heart more than the injury itself. What he's going through here, like, people don't even know, and they will soon find out. Like, but we're always going to be there. Like, if you're afraid of Academy Ireland, you're afraid of Academy Ireland. Like, you're one of us. You know what I mean? Rand knows that, and everyone else knows that, and that's what makes us a wee bit different, because we're not doing nothing because we feel we have to. We do it because we want to. And for Rand to walk on them mats, like, the emotion in the room was immense, and like, it was like, I was on the phone to Rand today, messaging him and all, and saying that good times are ahead, and he's on his way to Colombia, and he's going to Dubai to watch Paul, and it's so good. He inspires me so much in his belief in his own ability, and of course we're always going to be behind Rand no matter what he does, and we'll always support him. And like, what a story, let's.
He looked like he was trying to upstage you with his suit at your wedding.
Oh, you see his shoes? Did you see his shoes? No.
I saw the shoes, yeah.
Only Ryan Curtis can get away with shoes to get. Like, he is still unbelievable. Like, I swear to God, now, a guy is he's one in a million. Like,
did you have to kind of like plan your wedding around the fight year? Because like, and it was kind of beautiful as well to see. So you see so many of the lads from the team looking dapper at the wedding, of course. But like, it must have been a nice. Obviously, I'll say this on your behalf. If you don't, it was the happiest day of your life. But additionally, you know, what a way to cap off a tremendous year professionally for you with the gym to be able to unwind. And of course, we appreciate you joining from your honeymoon now.
Of course. Yeah, well, like it's funny because the way I proposed on the day I was leaving to go to UFC with Reese for Atlantic City. So I literally got my youngest boy up at 6 a.m, and he came into the room with the ring, and then half an hour later I was in a car to go to the airport. So it was like kind of wham bam, thank you, man. We were in Atlantic City, and as soon as I came home, my wife now, she had everything booked. Right, we're going to the venue, we're going there. So it wasn't kind of planned and such as we chose the date. It just kind of were the venue that she wanted had available in the next few years. So perfect, and like exactly, what a year! Like, what a time to be alive. And I'm grateful for everything, everybody around me, all the boys. Like, obviously, like Pat McAllister's a massive part of us. Loving the bits, and like, we're such a great team together, and we believe in each other so much. But like, everybody. What I've got around me, obviously my wife, my coaches, everybody, like, it's such a pleasure and such a great time to be alive.
We might talk about 2025 in just a moment before we let you get back to your honeymoon. But I mean, there's been a lot going on this last week. This Khabib Nurmagomedov fella is not too fond of Irish MMA, it seems. What did you make of these comments ahead of Paul's fight with him? I'm sorry, ahead of Paul's fight with Usman Nurmagomedov, of course.
Yeah, well, I may have to take him into the cage, you know what I mean? Bring back the gloves out. But yeah, 100%. What he's saying is kind of right, you know what I mean, in terms of what they're doing in Dagestan and the level of ability to have within that small wee area. Yes. But again, listen, like, let's be honest, he hasn't fought Paul Hughes. As I said about AJ McKee, all these boys think they are the top dogs until they meet a real dog, and then they realize, you know what I mean? It's like, I have made no secret about what was going to happen in the AJ fight, and it was so funny because, like, it wasn't too long before AJ was just shooting for his life, and again he got out of there because Paul had a horrendous training camp in terms of his health and what we wanted to put him through, and he was on a different level. And let's be honest, like, no one gave us a chance here. The same as this guy here. This guy, like we've got a game plan down the TS guy. He is the best fighter who doesn't want to fight. So let's fucking see if he wants to fight or not. We'll Paul Hughes will make him fight, and Khabib can say all he wants in the corner, and I've got all the respect for these boys, and they can bum and blow about Usman and his wrestling and his striking and all. Well, we'll soon find out, because see, after a while when Paul stays there, then like, he hasn't been anybody who noteworthy that I feel that would even lace Paul's boots. So when come the 25th of January, then he will know he's in a fight very, very quickly.
Before we let you go, and obviously the fight's coming up soon, but you've had a massive 2024, and you seem to be going strength to strength every single year. But how does the gym beat the previous? How does the gym beat 2024? How do you improve in 2025? What do you envision for the next year?
Well, we always, obviously, every year, kind of we have an end of year awards. Last year, we kind of have a word for the year. Last year was time, and this year is story. So everybody's got their own story. Obviously, you know, Ryan Curtis's story. Last year was Paul's story, coming from, like you just said there, coming from maybe obscurity. Maybe they have the Cage Warriors world champion on the world stage. But all our fighters have got stories. Like, so Paddy McCrory, Tiernan, Corey, Jared Burns, you know what I mean? There's like him and Mokayev. If Mokayev doesn't get signed for Brave, like, we were offered that fight. We said yes to that fight twice, and it took them 4 weeks to get back because they were offering us absolutely terrible money. And when they came back to us 2 weeks out, we said no use. Like, we said yes on the 16th of October, and they come back 2 weeks out. Absolutely not. We'll fight them next, no problem. Like, George Burns is a massive future. James Hughes turning pro. Obviously, like all these Damien McGuigan. Like, there's so much guys coming on. McDonald. Like, the list goes on. 2025 is going to get bigger. 2026 is going to be bigger again. So this year is all about, we want our guys to tell our stories, come out and be more like what Paul has done. He's use all the public on board on terms of what's happening in their lives. Show where you're coming from, what you want to do, and put it out there. So, like, that our years, let's get our guys to tell everybody their story, and let's write their own stories.
Love it. Thanks so much for the time, Shauna. We have Shauna Bannon waiting in the wings here, so we'll let you get back to your honeymoon, and we're very excited to see the start of that story, which we don't have to wait too long for now. A couple of weeks, Paul Hughes versus Omar Nurmagomedov. Very exciting start to the year for yourselves as a gym, for Irish Mixed Martial Arts, and congratulations on all your successes in 2024. And thanks so much for joining us on our honeymoon. That's definitely a first.
You can have a few white Russians now on the beach before a few white Russians in a couple of weeks.
I'll have a few white Russians on 25th of January.
Hey, I love it. Thanks so much, Liam. Appreciate it. All the best.
Cheers, Liam.
Thanks. All right, Shauna, thanks for waiting by right for us there. Sorry, there's a lot of moving parts here. Trying to figure it out. How are you?
Good, yeah. How are you?
Yeah, good. Not so bad at all. As I said, like, you know, probably you heard a bit of the conversation with Liam here. We're just bringing in a few guests just to talk about the year in 2024, maybe look at briefly ahead to 2025. And for yourself, you know, lots of ups and downs. We were talking about Irish mixed martial arts in general being a roller coaster of emotions for maybe fans and ourselves going in, and it definitely seemed that way for you as well. Injury at the start of the year, obviously getting a big win inside the UFC, the first win since Ashlyn Daly inside the UFC for a woman, Irish woman inside the Oktagon, and you know, obviously, you know, lots of ups and downs that you talked about as well. How do you look back on the year in 2024 for yourself?
I'm glad to put it behind me. There's a lot of things that are closed off from last year, and I'm glad to put them behind me and go into this year with a clear mind and get a bit of momentum going, because I feel like my pro career started off very active. I had 5 fights in 12 months, and then there was big gaps in between, and I work well with momentum. I've competed regularly my whole life, so that's what I'm used to, and that's what I think works well for me. So I'm up early this year, March. I'd like to get in again, maybe June, July, and then again at the end of the summer, and again before the year if I could. I'd love to fight 4 times next year, and that'd be the dream. So I just have to go out and perform, and I think when you perform well, they want you in fast again. So that's the plan.
Was that a big adjustment for you to make in terms of, you know, how active that you've been, like not only in your career, but ever since you were a kid? You've talked about you've been engrossed in martial arts, and activity has always been a part of your life. Obviously, you're on the shelf with a little bit of an injury that you spoke about as well, and we spoke about that ahead of your fight in the UFC earlier on this year. But to go from being so active, and obviously when you're thinking about fights, when you're in the gym, you know, you kind of have that focused level of attention on, you know, your training, skilling. It must be very difficult when you're in those moments for you when you can't train, or, you know, you're not fighting as well. Is that something that you kind of had to adjust to in 2024?
Yeah, it was a big struggle. And as well, I was sitting on a loss, so it wasn't as if I was sitting on a win. So that's even harder again, because you want to come back from that and like prove yourself and stuff like that. I was kept going. There was a lot going on in the background in my personal life, so there was a lot kept going. I was rehabbing and training flat, but doing what I could, and then I was back and I was in camp straight away. As soon as I was back kind of sparring, then I got a contract. So it was like go. But then I obviously kind of slowed down again. I went to the PI after my last fight and they told me that my leg hadn't recovered properly. They said that my right leg was 40% weaker than my left. So I basically fought my last fight with half a leg. So I was like working really closely with them, doing a lot of strength work, remotely online and stuff. Tedious, like 8 weeks, just flat strength training. And I'm still obviously doing it now, but then I got retested after the 8 weeks and it was back to normal. So my leg failed because I was compromising a lot of things that I was doing, and I just thought that was the way my leg was going to be because of the surgery, but it wasn't. So I fixed that now, and I feel so much stronger. So yeah, excited for the year ahead. Hopefully no injuries and I can just get the momentum and keep the fights going because it works well for me.
What was the feeling like, Shauna, getting your hand raised inside the octagon? You know, a momentous kind of scenario in any kind of fighter's life, but given, you know, the turbulence that you had around your life at the time, there was a lot of weight on your shoulders heading into that fight. You know, we can see the relief in there. You weren't hiding it for anyone. You deserved it. That outcry of emotion, it meant a hell of a lot to you, I would imagine.
Yeah, it was probably the most, like, what's the word to even use for it? I don't even know. I don't even have a word, but it was a very special win in my career. I think maybe the combat games, when I won that in kickboxing, that was something similar because that was like the peak of that at the time. So yeah, it was a big win. It was a lot of relief. It was like a super high, but for like 10 minutes, and then I was like, right, what's next? And like I would have loved to fight for the end of next year. And even though my leg wasn't strong, if they had gave me a fight, I probably would have still fought. But maybe looking back in hindsight, it wasn't meant to be. And I think this fight now, my first fight in the UFC was kind of like, I think, an outer body experience. I wasn't me in there. My last fight, I still wasn't me. And I think this time there's a lot more to it. I feel like I've matured a lot as a person and a fighter. So my next fight, I feel like I'm going in with like a completely different mindset and the structure before. And I just think it's going to be smooth and I'm going to feel a lot more calmer in there and see my shots clearer and focus on my game plan a lot more and not kind of going back to that point fighting style, because like I don't spar like that. And then my past 2 fights have just been that, so it's kind of frustrating when you go back to, obviously I'm going back to like kickboxing and that's my muscle memory because I've done that for so much longer than MMA, but like I won't spar like that in training. And like a couple of my other MMA fights, they weren't like that. So I just want to go out there and show what I'm truly capable of and get a nice win and get a fight soon after then again.
Is kind of like maybe, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but maybe the pressure of trying to get that first UFC win, has that kind of motion turned now to more excitement where you can build upon that and you can go in there and kind of showcase your true abilities maybe in March when you go in there? You're Puja Tumar, that's your opponent. I know that's announced. I haven't heard you talk too much about it, so I was kind of a little bit standoffish on it as well. But that is your opponent for the London card, is that correct?
Yeah. No, I've known like a long time. The contract was signed weeks and weeks ago. So the UFC are just like, can you wait until we announce it, because it's, you know what I mean? And then it gets leaked and I can't reshare it, and then it's a big rigmarole, because then when you do finally release it, it's like everyone's like, I already know that. Do you know what I mean? So it's a bit annoying, but I don't want to piss them off, so I just do whatever they ask me to do.
Totally fine. Yeah,
like a lot of fighters just share them stuff straight away, but like I have a close relationship with Niamh and she's sound and she's very helpful whenever I need anything, so I don't want to piss them off. That's their job. They want to do it the way they want to do it, so I just try and stick with that.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Is it like, it sounds like relief? Like, is that kind of the feeling or whatever now? Like, you know, you when you were coming into your UFC debut, you're on such a winning streak, you hadn't lost in years, and then this big moment, which you've described as being like an outer body experience, biggest fight of your career, biggest stage. They had all that, the media kind of spotlight on you, a lot of pressure on you as well. Then you're sitting on the loss, and then you finally get that win. Like now, as you move into, you're talking about not reverting into the kickboxing style, into really showing your true MMA self in your next fight. Is it relief? Is it like that now you can finally, you know, the monkey's off the back, you have the UFC win, and now you can propel on from here?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think like relief is definitely a word, and that's not what I want to be. I don't want to come out of a fight and be like, oh, it's done. Like, because I love fighting. Like, I love going out there and having a fight, and that's not what I want it to be. But it was a lot with what was going on in my personal life. I needed the money. The fight had to happen. Like, I remember when I got the contract, Paddy was like, you sure you're going to be able to focus on a fight and deal with what you're dealing with? And that was what made me be like, there's no way I'm letting anyone else control my career. Like, I'm going in there and I'm fighting. It was a relief. A couple of days after, everything that was going on was kind of in a certain way closed off to some degree. So it was like all that kind of happened at once. And now I just feel like I'm at a clearer stage in my life. Like, I remember my second Invicta fight. I remember looking back on that, and I feel like I was in a flow state. I feel like I was seeing my shots, and I slowed down more so because I was shitting at that I was going to gas because of the altitude. And I was like, I remember watching the first few fights before me, and people were blowing bubbles and they were like swinging, and I was like, oh my God, I'm shitting. And I remember, like, even in the warm-up area, I was like, obviously your heart rate's higher and everything else, but I was like, am I out of breath? Am I going to be able to last 3 fights? Like, and I was shitting it a little bit, and it made me slow down. But I remember, like, looking back, and even after the fight, it was like I seen so much more, and it was like a flow. And I just want my next fight to be like that, because when I'm like that, then I know I'm capable of entering into the grappling, the wrestling, whatever it needs to be. If it needs to keep me striking, like, I just know it's a better flow state. So going into my next one, that's what I'm aiming for.
Do you fancy fighting anywhere other than England this year?
I actually enjoy fighting in England. Listen, right? I fight in America. I have to leave for a week before. I have to leave Jace for longer. The tax is more. Like, there's a lot to it.
Yeah.
Like,
you can plant the Irish flag in English soil as well.
Yeah, well, I'd love to fight in Ireland, obviously, but come here, I don't mind, like, fighting abroad. I've done that forever, so it is what it is. If I have to do it, like, it is what it is. I fight wherever. It doesn't really matter where I am. Do you know what I mean? Like, you literally see the hotel room and the venue, and that's it. So being in wherever it is, it doesn't really matter. Like, if it's the Apex or if it's the Trey Arena, is it much of a muchness? I don't know. Like, I feel like people are like, I'd love to fight here. I just want to fight. Like, I really don't care where it is. I'm assuming, like, obviously, if I get the momentum that I want to get, I will be fighting outside the UK. Because they obviously only have 2 cards a year. So, yeah, no, I would like to fight elsewhere, but it's not like a priority. Just activity is more what I'm concerned about.
You're sharing the card with Molly McCann as well. I think this is second, third time. What's it like getting to that? Because I know the media, the fight week media that the UFC put out with the 2 years is always really good as well. So what's it like to be able to share that with her as well?
Yeah, it's deadly. Like, I think this is the third one now, wouldn't it be? Yeah, third one. So yeah, no, it's great to be able to share it with her 100%, because like we've came up kind of this, like when I've started my UFC career, and she's been there every step along the way. So it's good to continue that.
Love it, Shauna. Thanks so much for taking the time. Like you said, we have a quick schedule here today. We're trying to bring in and out as many people as possible, but we'd love maybe to get the opportunity a little bit closer to that fight in March to bring you on again, have a chat about that as well. Congratulations on a very successful 2024. We're very, very excited to see what progresses for you in your career in 2025. We wish you all the best, and hopefully we'll be talking to you soon.
Deadly. Thanks so much, lads. Really appreciate it. Happy New
Thanks,
Year.
Shauna.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Bye. Bye.
Alrighty. Mr. Slice is in the building.
What's happening,
Jim,
lads?
what is the crack? How are you keeping?
I'm keeping very well. I
Nice
go
and
by
cool.
Mr. Slice nowadays. I start signing off on things.
That's
Mr.
it.
Slice.
Mr. Slice.
Has a nice ring to it.
Head to college there, you become Dr. Slice.
Dr. Slice, yeah. And now Graham is going to be making his pro debut soon, and hopefully he's going to be either Graham Bread or Junior Slice.
Junior
Slice.
Junior Slice, yeah. One of my uncles said, it was like, oh yeah, Junior Slice, yeah. So I was like, that kind of has a nice ring to it.
You can be full slice pan, and Graham can be a half slice pan. No.
Yeah. Fair.
Something like
that. Something like that.
He's like, I'll take that into consideration.
In music, they have the Spice Girls. With MMA, they've got the Slice Brothers.
There we go. There we
Do you want
fucking
to
go.
stick your phone to the side, Graham? Or Graham, Jesus, calling your brother, James.
To the side. Oh yeah.
As I interrupt the flow of this beautiful conversation we're having about sliced pan.
No problem. No problem.
I've had a mare here, have I?
That's all good. That's all good.
How are you anyway, Jay? How was your Christmas? How was your New Year's? The
Christmas
champion. You should have
was-
introduced the champion, the Cage Warriors welterweight champion.
Yeah, nothing feels different. I'm still getting beaten up in the gym, so I don't feel like a champion anyway. So, yeah, I'm cannot wait to get back fighting. Obviously had was meant to fight Yanis in September, and I broke my hand. I think it was 2 weeks out from that, or 3 weeks. That was unfortunate, but I actually did a quick turnaround, and I'd actually said to Ian and Graham that I wanted to fight on November. I was actually confident in the hand then that I could have fought in one of the November cards. I think it was London and Newcastle. But they were saying those cards are already stacked with other title fights, so they basically just told me to hold off. So yeah, just been working on developing new skills and looking forward to Shauna. Now April.
100%. I'm gonna listen. I'm the worst here. I'm gonna get you to either turn your phone back up or else there's a little auto rotate button on your phone because you're actually sideways. Yeah, so I was like, yeah, turn your phone sideways, and then I just made you.
Clicking your neck.
James, how was the hand though? Obviously, we haven't talked to you in a long time. I know you're talking about skill acquisition, getting new skills, but
yeah,
you were scheduled, and then you had the handbrake. How is the hand? Are you okay?
The hand is grand. I basically just I landed on the side of Graham's head. Believe it or not, we have hard heads to Sheehan, so I knew it was broken instantly. And I literally once I went back hitting pads, and sparring, I think I went back fairly quick. Like I haven't had any trouble with it since, and I've definitely like landed incorrectly. But yeah, I haven't had any trouble with it. So
it was a phenomenal year for you, James. I was looking back as the year wrapped up and putting out a few clips and stuff, and that clip that I put out of you where you're talking about, what it meant to you to win the title, but also kind of the harsh reality of MMA where you're like, I can be playing tennis, I might sprain my wrist, but look at my face as you're kind of you may be Jimbo sliced, but you were Jimbo sliced on that night.
Yeah.
In the days after, the weeks after, did you reflect on that title win, or like how do you reflect on your year? Because great success, right?
Yeah, I had great success. Well, I wasn't lying when I said in the lead up to the fight that like the title didn't make or break me. I kind of just love the journey anyway, and I think that's the right way to be. That like there's no destination for me. I'm showing up in the gym regardless. But there was definitely a point that after all the kind of the madness settled down, that I had watched Cage Wars for years and never ever. I'm not one of these guys that like, oh, I can see myself. I kind of just show up and put in the work, and then what happens happens. So I never really envisioned myself being a Cage Warriors champion. And now actually standing back and kind of my mates and my family and going like, "Oh, you're the champion. That's crazy." And I was like, "Yeah, it kind of fucking is crazy." Like it kind of just hit me then. I was like, "Oh yeah, I am in this position." Like, and then kind of just made me think of what next. So I was kind of wrestling with that, kind of that thought of what is next. But then instantly I just kind of just fell back on like what has gotten me here, what has gotten me to this point, and that was just showing up in the gym every day and just working away, and I'm just going to continue to do that, and wherever I end up, I end up. So I know everyone loves a big prediction of I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, or whatever, but that's unfortunately not my style.
If you just stay going in there and winning fights, you don't see the opportunities are going to come your way. And I guess the opportunity for you to defend the title was there, and you lost it a little bit, obviously, with the injury. But I'm sure that's going to come back around next year, James, for you, with the Dublin show taking place in the first quarter of the year. I'm sure you're looking at that as a huge opportunity for you to go in there, defend the title, and move on after that title defense to maybe bigger and better things.
Yeah, like I all I'm focused on at the moment is Justin Burlington and beating him. Then after that, like I'll start thinking about what happens after that. And like at the time, I just thought about Daniel Conrad. I didn't think about the title and what that meant and what that meant after. So yeah, Justin Burlington. I know it'll probably put me in a position that it'll probably be the Contender Series or UFC or whatever. But at the moment, get past Burlington because he's a tough fighter, and yeah, I'm definitely not overlooking him.
I think, if I'm correct, I think the next season of The Ultimate Fighter is going to be in the welterweight division. I'm not sure what the casting is like or anything like that. Is that something that would interest you in going into the Ultimate Fighter house at this stage of your career, or would you prefer maybe, obviously the straight sign into UFC is what obviously everybody wants, but we're seeing different avenues now. We're seeing obviously the Ultimate Fighter is one avenue, Dana White's Contender Series, and obviously then, like I said, the straight up signing. What's the perfect route for you, or do you care? I was probably repeating yourself
No,
here.
I definitely would I would do the Ultimate Fighter, but I think I'd have to do it middleweight. I have too much of a cut for welter to make it multiple times, and I would do it at the Ultimate Fighter, and I think that's like if it was offered to me at welter. I think even Andy being the good coach that he is, he's learned from his mistakes. So like Redzer went into the UFC, and not that he didn't get a fair shot, but ultimately Redzer lost those fights because he was fighting at a weight that didn't really suit him. And I know Andy would say to me, "Look, don't go in unless you know it's the Jimbo Slice that we all know, and you're not going to lose the fight because of weight issues." And it would generally be that unless I'm changing my walk around weight. But like I am a fairly big welterweight, and I think I'd find it difficult to make the weight multiple times in the Ultimate Fighter house.
Do you think that
for welterweight, that is
for sure, it makes a hell of a lot of sense? And we've seen people in the house a lot that have struggled. Like, I mean, I don't think the season goes for, I don't know, 10 or 12 weeks, but it actually takes place over the course of just a couple of weeks inside the house. So I don't know whether people realize how often that you do need to make weight when you go in there. But in your opinion, James, going in there into the RDS in March or April, whenever the show is, you pick up that win against Burlington. Do you feel that that's it? That's you have done enough and that you deserve that shot in the UFC if you go out there and defend your title?
I don't know. On paper, you can say yes, but it's all to do of like who you beat and how you beat them. Like if I go out and spin and wheel kick Burlington in the first round, like that's going to get a lot of eyes. And at the end of the day, the UFC is a business. They don't care about me. They don't care about anyone else. They just want, okay, does this guy have a lot of traction? Then we're going to sign him. Okay, if he doesn't, we'll make it a bit harder, make him go through the Ultimate Fighter or the Contender Series. But if you're hot shit and you show you're hot shit, they'll sign you straight away. So I think it all depends on how I beat Burlington and who you beat as well.
James, recently enough, you kind of not really a full circle moment, but I guess you went from competitors to briefly training partners with Ian Gary as being part of his training camp for UFC 310. What was it like being involved in that camp and seeing him prepare for Shavkat? And I guess what was it like, and what did you take from that camp as well, considering you have a fight coming up?
I found it majorly beneficial. The second Ian messaged me about it, I jumped on it because there's no better way to see. Like Ian has progressed majorly since we fought, and I would love to. Like me and Ian always got on anyway, so I wanted to see like what is this guy doing? Like I can't is he ranked number 8 in the
Yeah.
welterweights? Or
Yeah.
yeah, number 8. So like he's at the top of the division, and it showed in the fight against Shavkat as well. Like I think Shavkat's the champion. I think Shavkat beats Bilal, and I think Ian showed he was definitely worthy of being in the top 5 or fighting Shavkat again. So um I wanted to see what he does, pick his brain. What has he got any points for me as well? And I would happily go over and try and win him again, and I intend to. So
James, we're obviously looking ahead, but also this episode is a lot around 2024 and celebrating the highlights. And I felt like that night in the RDS where you won the title, it felt like a bit of a special night for Irish MMA. Obviously, you winning the title, but also it was kind of Paul Hughes' swan song. But Team Rhino, like that was a phenomenal showing. You had Jamie Ababisset making his pro debut. We've got one of your training partners here, Solomon Simon, has just joined us, so maybe we can bring him in here and ask him about it as well. He obviously had a great win over an undefeated guy, Jer Harris picking up a win, and then you know, topping it off with the title win. How special was that for the club? And like, were there any moments maybe after the fact that you shared kind of together as a team? Like what was that like on the night and in the days and weeks after for Team Rhino?
yeah, I think it was very special for the gym, because we like you kind of forget, like you see each other nearly every day. You're training with each other. You're punching the shit out of each other every day, and to go through them hard sessions and then come out and all of us reap the rewards together. Like we're not a big gym, but we damn sure show up and put the work in. And that's all that night was last year, that all of us put in a great camp, a great year, and we're all on the same mindset and we reap the reward. And that's what we're going to continue to do this year. Like Andy's going to sit us down now tomorrow, and we're just going to basically go over what do we want to achieve this year, how do we do it. And I see the exact same happen. So obviously me winning the retaining the belt and moving on. I think Saul wins the belt this year. I think Jer and Jamie could put themselves into a nice position, and then once I leave, Darby to come and take that belt then after me. So I think it's a very exciting time for Team Rhino, and I think we just have to keep on doing what we've been doing for the last couple of years. That's it.
Love it. Well, thanks for your time, James. Really appreciate it. Obviously, Saul has just joined us as well, showcasing. You know, you were obviously talking about the success of the gym. With Saul obviously winning the emerging prospect of the year for SevereMMA.com this year, kind of further highlights. Congratulations on that, Saul. Kind of further highlights the
bollocks, Andy. I thought you said I was getting that. That's bollocks, man. That's all I say.
Andy Stevenson making promises that he can't keep again.
You got hit too much this year, James. You got hit too much this year.
Yes, I did, but I still revolute your money. I have the receipts.
You made a mistake. You have to give that money to me, James, and I'll make sure that you get it then in the following years. That's it.
Right. Well, I'm broke now, so never mind. Next year, 2025, yeah.
No more Bambino for you.
Man, I only had it yesterday. It's unreal. It's unreal.
Saul, obviously you're a guy who's been looking up to a guy like James and seeing him win the title and stuff this year must kind of give you a great deal of confidence being in that room as well with the likes of James and the rest of the guys at Team Rhino.
Yeah, it's been brilliant. Like, and it's just nice saying that, because obviously I'm like not that big, I'll tell myself, but like I'm in between weight, like as a size wise, so I like get to move around with James a good bit, and also obviously like the featherweights as well. So like it's actually like nice to see, and then also just saying like that's actually a champion there as well, and then you like start. It makes you feel better about your own skill set as well. You don't like doubt your skills as much, or like in the sense of like like you have a good bar to like judge off, you know what I mean? So it's been great, and like that's what it has been with the old gym as well. Like we have like a strong community with each other, like again, like a family. So like this year now going in 2025 will be a very big one. So really, really looking forward to seeing how the year pans out. Like,
Can we settle this while we've both of you still on? There's a lot of siblings that both train in, or that all train in Team Rhino. You got the Abbott Bissets, the Sheehans, the Simons. I could be missing a few more. What family is the best now of all the siblings that train across in Team Rhino?
Simon.
This is a great question, Kilcher.
James, you care to? I know there's Matthew. You've got three of you. If Matthew's still training, if you want to chime in.
Yeah.
The Shanes are too big; they don't count. Like, cause that's the size. Right? So the Simons.
We had the Derbies as well. It was Adam and Aaron Derby as well.
Yeah.
They were very big. They were on top there for a while. Yeah.
Well, no,
I don't know.
I'm claiming Simon. I'm not even. I do know it's Simon.
I mean, there's a way to find out.
I don't know, man. If we start losing, I'm just gonna, Matthew's in the army, so he can just bring in a gun. If we start losing, just the gun comes out.
Do you know how they do? Do you know? Is it Quintet or one of them that they do on UFC Fight Pass? And they just had, and they have the different teams in the corner.
Yeah.
You could do that with the siblings, and then just go in and out, and then whoever comes out on top is the best. I think there's one for Andy Ryan.
Do you want to see us fight this year? Like, you're just gonna prop us up, right? We're gonna kill each other in the gym. But like, yeah, sorry about that April card. Sorry, Graham Boylan. All of us are injured. We all tried to win the sibling war.
Yeah, there's got to be a couple of siblings in England or something that we can put you up against instead.
Yeah, true. The Hardwicks.
Yeah, I'll take out Harry. Like, I don't know. Do we have a lightweight for? I forgot his name again. The other one.
George.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Solomon, how was Christmas? Were you in Waterford or Wexford for this one now?
On Christmas Day, I was in Wexford.
Right, lads, I'll leave you, right?
Sounds good. Sounds good, James.
Congratulations, James.
Thanks very much for having me on. I'll see you during the week. We got to go fucking practice. That's all I'm coming for you during the week. Don't bring Sam.
Thanks, James.
Yeah, and Christmas Day, I was on Wexford for the day and then Waterford in the evening. So I actually had to that's what I have to start doing now, splitting both. But yeah, half and half.
What was it like first Christmas with first Christmas being a dad, wasn't it?
Yeah, first Christmas.
Like? Oh yeah, congratulations.
Cheers, thanks. Like, it's mad. Like, he's sitting up and like clapping and like smiling and doing all that. It's crazy how quickly they gone. I'm like, that was only 6 months ago, like, and it feels like it flew by. Like, so it's been good. Very, very happy with it. Like, next Christmas now, we'll be probably running around the place and I have to start chasing him, but happy.
Brilliant. Look, it's congratulations on the award today. It's well deserved after the year you've had. What's the plan for 2025? Has there been any word yet on any news that might be coming up? Are you still lining up that April card? You're going to join James?
Yeah, no, definitely the April card is at least that's what I'm expecting anyway. Just either way, that's the April. Like, if they want to pull me up before that, I'm chill with that. But definitely the April one. I've been trying to get names and whatnot, and like I'll say at this point it'll probably be a bit like more difficult because I know there's just a few names that I would like specifically because like we were saying the last time, like looking for the title and all that kind of crack. So there's probably only a handful of names that would put me there. So they need to be available on that date as well for it to really work out. But I've just been hounding them a bit to try to get a name so I could sign something and have something in mind. But I'm planning and training for April. I have to get down from like 90 kg down to at least 70-ish. I'm at 75. And then like I might start, I might be ready to take a fight then. No, I'm ready to take a fight now. I'm joking.
Is there and I don't want to say a rush, but I guess with the way the UFC is, and they're looking for undefeated champions or undefeated fighters, kind of looking for maybe mid-20s, and I believe you're maybe a year or two older than me, 29, 30. Do you find that there's like a little bit of a rush to nearly get these 2 fights in, try and get the title and make that jump as quick as possible by the end of the year? Or do you feel like you still have a bit of time on your side?
Nah, like career-wise, like I know I still have time. Like I feel like I'm barely getting started with a lot of the things I want to do. But when it comes to the UFC itself, like in my head, like if I'm being realistic anyway, I think I need to like run it fairly quickly. And like I literally only had this conversation recently with one of my boys, Ninja, in the gym. Like, and it's just like that COVID period really fucked me up. It slowed down like what I would have liked to do. So like now I feel like I have one shot really to make a run for it. Like ideally, if everything works out like I want, get the April card. If I could get one before that and then get April, that's even better because I know it would make the record look that much better again. But again, it's like James was saying earlier on, it's really how you win the fight and not what you how you win the fight shows a lot in what they're looking for. But yeah, if I get the April one, and I know Contender Series from what I've heard is like runs from June to August. Like so from that point, anytime in between, I'm gonna be ready to like jump in on anything. And if I could get like literally April, I would like to get back in straight in probably June, July in Cage Warriors if I could get the title then. And then definitely at that point, I would like to think if with a belt, the contender would definitely be looking for me. Without it, I'll still be looking to get onto that. But I don't have as much control over those kind of things. Like the only thing I can control right now is just get on the fight, smash the guy, and see what happens next after it. But yeah, time like you're saying, I would therefore I feel like I'm in a rush, and like that sets me back in my head sometimes, and I'm trying not to think about it too much. But look, Harry as well, like I think he's 29 as well, and he was saying something similar because like I think in one of the looking for a fight, Dana was like, I'm not looking for any 30 plus prospecting things. I'm like, I'm still 29. I need to like get onto that before the 30 number comes in. But look, we'll see what happens, man.
I think the fact like you're finishing fights like that'll definitely stand to you. Obviously you had the 2 finishes this year, one against someone who's young in their career but an undefeated pro, and then of course taking on a 20-fight professional and finishing him. What was your highlight like of the 2 fights? What was your highlight of the year?
Ooh. It's the last one. Like it has to be the last one. Like because that first fight, like I was really looking to like try finish him on the feet. I was stuck on the fence for a good chunk of that fight. Still got the finish, but I felt like there was a bit less action in that. This one, I felt like I was pressing him for the whole thing, and I was active. I got to show a bit more. I felt like I was a bit more exciting, should I say? And then again, getting the finish at the last minute as well. Like that has to be. I felt I got to show a lot more, and still got the finish as well. But again, that's for me anyway. That's still subpar in comparison to what I see myself doing. So that's okay. But this year it would have been fight-wise. It would have been that last fight. Life-wise, my baby Papa now would peak all of that so far.
Oh, absolutely.
We've got no one else from Waterford representing tonight except just myself and you here now, Sal. But from Team Rhino Waterford, it's been a big year, and I know you'd see that your brothers training there. You've got Owen Hennessy, Xavier Rooney, Kevin Keogh. Like, what's it been like in the gym overall and the growth? Because it seems like it's been overall quite a big year for the gym.
Yeah, the gym, like it's over time again, like same with everything, I suppose, like as I've just been building slowly over time. But this year was massive for everybody. Like Sam did fantastic, Kevin as well, fantastic year for him. Like Owen wasn't as active this year, like just with exams and things like that. But again, we'll see what this year like 25 actually ends up bringing. But very proud of the gym, and Bobby, like he deserves like to actually start saying the results of the work he puts in, like on a bigger stage, should I say. But like it was a great year. Like like it's not crazy surprising for us in the gym, but it's definitely nice to see the work out there, you know. And like Sam, like just to like point that extra, like it was very impressive what he's done. Like, cause I know like everyone would have known the story at this point, like with the old time off and things, but like that, like he captured basically all the major titles in Ireland, like within 2 years, less than 2 years, or about 2 years of him being back from like significant injury. Like, do you know what I mean? And all of these people he was fighting, they've been active throughout the point that he's just been nursing the injuries and things like so. Like, very proud of him for that. And like this year, like he's planning on going pro then this year. So like it'll be a nice transition for himself as well. So like that's been very good. And Kevin as well, like young, the youngness of these people as well is what gets at me because like they're doing so well. Like Evan's only like 23, and his own is like 21, and then we have Kane as well. He's hasn't fought yet, but he'll be coming out this year as well, I'll say. And I think it's like only 21 or something, or like probably 19, I don't know. But like they're all very young, but like the skill level like is very high. Like the mindset like very strong. So like the gym is really growing, and like it's taken years to get to this point, but like proud of ourselves. We did well. We're doing well.
Yeah, and I guess the importance of having a gym like that. I see it. You see it in a lot of kind of places, but in Waterford as well. I think it's always good to have somewhere like the MMA gym. There's obviously the Thai boxing gym because it's like a little community as well, and it kind of once you see it grow as a result. And I guess we've kind of seen that with Team Ryder Waterford over time, as kind of obviously used to be Waterford MMA and everything, but this growth now is been quite significant. I imagine it's had a really good impact on lads, especially with, I don't know if it's involved with WIT or anything like that, but it's been brilliant to see as well. It's been a big year. It's been a big year for the gym, and I imagine next year is hopefully going to be even bigger for you guys.
Yeah, for sure. This year would be much bigger again. Like no with WIT. I think own is in WIT now. Well, I don't SITU or whatever it's called. But like I was telling him to set up what's it called there, and he refuses to do it. But I'm gonna convince him slowly, I think. But yeah, no, it's been big, and we're only gonna keep going. I think this year, next year will be much bigger than again.
Solomon, I saw you post earlier on that you're attacking all your demons this year. What did you mean by that?
Mental demons, man. It's funny. Like one of it was the age question, like because I was just thinking about like the amount of times I'll be like going, and then let's say if I don't train for a couple of weeks, I'm like, fuck, I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing it. And like it's just because Christmas, not even a couple of weeks, like just a while, like Christmas has been like hectic, and a lot of it is just like that little like doubt seeping in and different things like you need to do this now or you need to do that now, and like just little things that your brain starts to tell you in the back of your head. Like a lot of ways I fight that is like in the gym when I'm training, I just feel amazing again. I'm like, oh wait, what the fuck have you been talking about? But I want to get better in my head, like just controlling those thoughts a bit more. But those are some of the demons, and then the rest of it, like it's not we can't publicize that.
That's more than fair. We won't pry too much. Come here. I know you've laid out some of the timelines for the year, like the cards you'd like to be on, etc. If you could picture a perfect 2025, like can you envision who you fight, when you fight, and how the end? Let's say we're having a conversation a year from now. What's that conversation about?
The April, Nick Bagley. To be honest, I don't even know. Maybe Harry. I think there's a London card or something like that in March. So maybe Harry might jump in on that, and then me and Bagley just fight for the title straight away in April. Could still be an option. But anyway, Bagley in April. Harry for the title then after that. Contender series, get my contract in August. UFC debut in September, in about October, November. That's literally what I have written down for myself this year, and like I'm just gonna work towards it and try and make that happen.
That'll be a hell of a year. A hell of a year.
Yeah, for sure. And like it's very doable. Like it's all I have to do is just show up. Like and skill. Like again, when it comes to the skill side of things, and like I really there's no one like even in the UFC now. I don't see someone like far ahead of me. Like the better the competition is, the more of my skills come out. So Like, I'm not stressed on the skill. I'm not stressed on the competition. I just want the opportunity just to like show what I know I can do, and like give me the names and like let me take them out. That's what it is. Bagley is the best one. Like, well, the most notable one here. He did brilliant in the was London, like the last London card. Like a very good finish there as well. So like he has a good hype behind him. So that would be a nice one to like shoot my name up there again as well. And it's a good test. So let's see how good it is. Let's see how good I am. Like one of us come out on top, get the belt, get the contract, get the debut. Beautiful year. Like I'll be very happy with that.
I think that you've already done a lot of what you said there as far as showing people and against as the competition rises that you rise. And I think I can speak for all the lads here today and the rest of the lads in SevereMMA when we were looking at the Emerging Irish Prospect of the Year award. You only had 2 fights where there was other fighters who had maybe 4 or 5 and with finishes.
And it was hot competition this year. Hot competition.
But that level of competition and that performance. Yeah, that performance against Cogliandro, who's a 20-fight pro, that sealed the deal for you. So you rose to the level of the occasion and the level of the opponent and the experience. And we're very, very excited to see what comes for you in 2025. And congratulations on all your successes to date and in 2024. And of course, on the birth of your child as well. So a great year for you, Solomon, and congratulations.
Cheers. Nah, thanks very much for that, man. Like it's nice as well just to see like the recognition on the scene. Like so, well, like many more to come. And look, next year will be a very good one, and then we'll see what happens after that.
Love it. Thanks so much for taking the time, Sol.
Cheers. Thank you very much. Cheers.
We speak with the 2024 Emerging Prospect of the Year, and the next guest that we have on. And I'll add her on to the stage here now is our 2024 Women's Fighter of the Year, Danni McCormack. How's it going, Danni? How are you? You're at the cinema there. What did you go and see?
I seen We Live in Time. It's a rom-com. Well, it's not com at all. It's just rom. So, bring the tissues for that one now. I don't know if it's for you lads, but definitely for the missuses.
Yeah, maybe you'll have to try it out for sure. But just to kind of reiterate, 2024 Women's Fighter of the Year. I think you were probably a part of one of the biggest stories of 2024, and that's like when are you going to get signed to the UFC? If you're going to get signed to the UFC, well, in the midst of all that, you're just trying to progress through your career. What was the year like for you in processing all of that, and obviously getting the opportunity to fight on the road to UFC against a very tough opponent as well? And it was a fantastic win. We did speak to you, I guess, on the Auld Triangle right after that. But as the year finishes up, we're in 2025 now. How's the feelings about how the year 2024 went for you?
Like I went into the year the champion, and I was hoping to get a quick turnaround and get another fight in. But if that wasn't going to happen, then it was like to get released and try to get on the Contender Series. So it kind of went as planned, even though I ended up on road to UFC, not the Contender. Invicta didn't run shows till the summer. So it was easy to pull out of there, and leave the belt behind me and just take a chance. And I'm happy I did that, because without being a free agent, I never would have been given the opportunity. I think I got really lucky that I got the opportunity at all. I just happened to be in the conversation, and he just threw me a bone essentially at the time. So. I'm really happy with that, and I'm delighted that I got that fight on road to UFC. And I think deep down I knew after the fight I still wasn't going to get signed. I had a feeling that that was going to be it for me. So I really took in the few days, or the week even in Vegas, and I just had a gut feeling, even though everyone around me was like, you're in 100%. I just knew, I think, that my time had passed, and that getting that fight was going to be my opportunity. So I'm, looking back, I did exactly what I wanted to do in the year, and I did everything I possibly could to get a UFC contract. So I've no regrets at all.
Well, yeah, that's good. And look, like, I think for you, like, we'd always been kind of shouting for it and always thought that you were good enough and that you're ready for doing it. I think getting that opportunity over in Vegas, could further prove to the masses in MMA. And that's what I seen after that fight as well, is that, people who are following the UFC a little bit more closely, they were calling for you to get signed up. And I guess, I don't know, maybe I'll ask you the question. Does that give you some kind of level of gratitude in terms that people are recognizing it, or is it still kind of bittersweet for you at this stage?
Yeah, I know I should have given the contract, but the fact that I didn't get given it, it's definitely, it feels nice that people are around me are reiterating the same thing. I'm not just like toot my own horn, that everyone is behind me. So like that definitely makes me feel a bit better when I can't go to an event, like a kids event at all, without being stopped and asked by everyone. And same all over Christmas, like the first word that comes out of everyone's mouth is the UFC. So it's been, it has been the whole year. That's all anyone's talked about with me. And like, I'm happy with that. But like, it probably took me these 2 years to like fully accept that it's not going to happen. And like, it is what it is. But I know now, like in January 2025, like the chances of me getting into the UFC is so slim, unless like Dana White did looking for a fight in Dublin. I think that would be the only way I'd get past Mick Maynard. But he's put his foot down, and he said that I'm not for him. So you never know. Like, he might take a heart attack this year or something. But stranger things have happened. But other than that, I think I know. And like, I don't want to feel like I'm giving up either. Like, I had voice notes from Conor McGregor given out to me saying that my posts are like, letting on that it's the end of the road, and he's telling me, keep your chin up, you're in a perfect opportunity. But I don't think he fully understands the situation with Mick at the moment. So it is what it is, and I'm so happy to have gotten the award off you guys. Like, honestly, I thought it was between me and Amy Scully, even though she's an amateur. I thought becoming a world champion, and having done that she definitely deserved it as well. So I thought it was between us, and looking at the level of opponent that I fought in Vegas, I'm really happy that you guys did recognize that you didn't just like brush past it because it wasn't the actual UFC, that you looked into it and you gave me my flowers. So thank you. I'm so happy with it. Like, I'm really, really happy with it this year. It means more than last year. Last year I was a shoe-in, but like this year I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I think it makes you, and correct me if I'm wrong, does it, has anyone won it 2 years in a row? Maybe Sinead has won it 2 years in a row? Or has anybody?
I just read it this morning on Twitter, and I seen Sinead got it 2 years in a row. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think Sinead's won it 3 times now as well, or maybe 4. I'm not sure. So that's cool. I'm in good company.
But yeah, look, I think going back to what you said, the fact you moved up a weight class as well, and the quality of the win, I think, was the major overall decision in you getting the award this year. And I think that you deserve it too, absolutely, with the quality of the performance that you put on there as well. It was really good and very deserving of winning the award.
Thank you. and like, just jumping in there, and I don't mean to be like shitting on anybody else, but I think you made a mistake with the amateur fighter. Like, I think Amy should have won it, because becoming a world champion and fighting on world level, like, she bet a girl that was 13-1 or something crazy. So I just don't regard regional fights as impressive, even if you're smoking people on the regional scene. I think the world champions should win the awards. That, like, world level is bigger in my eyes. But like, I don't think Creelshire was on the panel, so maybe Creelshire needs to.
He was.
No.
He was.
Throw him under the bus there as well,
You really
please.
let down Amy
Wasn't
there.
there.
I'll put it all back on you, Creelshire, because you would have watched all those fights as well.
I think Wiltshire was the only one who voted on these, actually.
But we've actually
Just throw me straight on there.
Yeah, there was.
I actually have another way. I think that we should do it. There should be a men's amateur fighter of the year,
men's and women's. That's what we've been
amateur
trying to kind of bring in, and we've brought it in on the professional scene. But maybe we need to look at it on the amateur scene as well. But I know, that being said, take men and women out of it. You know, Amy had a fantastic year, and your point is valid. And you know, we have heated debates about a lot. Like we don't just we don't just turn up and pick names and then say that's it. Like you know, sometimes there's been previous years where people have fallen out and everything over these kind of awards. So
I'll put my hand up and say I don't watch any of the lads closely at all. Like I don't give a shite about the lads. Like I'm really in the women's corner. So if I see any woman doing well at all, I expect she to be behind it, you know. But like I know it's junior, but like there's going to be loads of juniors over the next few years, and they're going to all be world champions as well. So I'd be annoyed looking at these lads on the regional scene that aren't going over to Uzbekistan or Tajikistan, wherever, and fighting these animals from around the world. Like I'll keep pushing the IMAF train. I'm like a big IMAF woman, so I am.
Well, maybe we can.
It won't be the first or last dissenting voice. I've received a few messages about a few awards today. So.
Yeah, we always do every year, but that's all good. Look, talking about the IMAFs.
Can't please everyone.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Talking about the IMAFs and everything, Danny, obviously you're a major part in the youth setup and had a very successful stint this year. What were your thoughts on, the development and the growth of the sport from a youth level and from a cadets level in terms of Irish mixed martial arts?
Like, I'm delighted that, the train keeps trucking and we keep raking in medals, and like we had 75 kids or something at the squad in December, and today we selected the team for the Europeans. We've got a big group of kids going over to the Europeans as well in the middle of February. So it just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and more kids are coming out of the woodwork. And the team itself, it's actually, like I said to Alan on the way home today, it's my favorite thing to do. Like, if I could pick one thing to do except fighting, doing the Irish team is my by far favorite thing, like over Relentless, over Muay Thai, over everything. The kids are just great, and they all get on, and we have a good bit of crack up there in HQ, and we train hard and we work hard. And then, of course, the fact that we get results, it means it's real. So, if they get selected and we're telling them they're good enough to medal, we only select kids that we think can medal. Then they go over with a fighting chance that they're going to come home with a medal. And then we see their development from the age of 10 now. The age category got changed to 10 to 11 being the youngest. So we'll have them from 10 until 17. So we'll have them for 8 years or whatever that is, 7 or 8 years, which is so cool. And this year, the juniors and seniors are going to take off again, hopefully. Lee Moog is taking it over this year, and we're going to try and coordinate as like a unified Team Ireland. So because there's so much success in the cadet team, and because we have quite a big coaching staff, there's a lot of us that travel and there's a lot of us that go to the squads. We're kind of going to join in with Lee Moog and work as a unified Team Ireland as our kids graduate up to his side, that, we're there to help along with that. And we're hoping that those 90 or 75 or whatever, I think there was one day there was 90 kids in SBG, that turns into 90, 18, 19-year-olds, because at the moment it's like 5 or 6. So there's something really big happening. As soon as they turn 18, they're going off on the regional scene, or they're giving up the sport, or whatever it is. There's some cut off where these kids are disappearing. So if we could keep that going, I believe it's the way to produce the best pros out of the country, because if you're going to be going over to IMAFs and coming against all these different styles, and if you're lucky to come home with a medal at junior or senior level, from 18 up to 20, past 21, then you really have a fighting chance of getting signed in a big promotion, and you have a fighting chance of being a world champion as a pro, I think. So I'm really excited about the next 10 years and seeing the kids graduate and keep going.
Yeah, it'll be brilliant to see, and hopefully you guys have another successful year in 2025, and same to yourself as well. Maybe we have Will and a few others waiting in the wings here to come back in, Will Fleury. So I'll leave you this last question. What can we expect from Danny McCormack in 2025?
God, I don't know. I got offered GFL, and I got offered massive money, 150 grand for a contract.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Get paid up front and say nothing else. That's all I say.
Yeah, I know. But that was what was on the message. So it was. So it was 25 a fight for 4 fights, and then each fight it went up a substantial amount that got you up to 150 altogether. So if that GFL thing is real, then a lot of people's going to make a lot of money next year until maybe it goes away. But I didn't sign anything, and Paradigm are in talks with PFL. So I don't know. We're not making any decisions. It's January. I still have to sit down with John Kavanagh and convince him that I should keep going. And we don't know what's going to happen in 2025, but there'll be big changes anyway, and I don't think it's going to be the UFC, but who knows? Who knows? Stranger things have happened, and Mick Maynard might have been eating a lot of bad food over Christmas, and something might happen.
There was no Christmas cards over to the Maynard family from the McCormack family this year, I would imagine. So I think that's fine. We'll leave it at that. But thanks so much for taking the time. Congratulations on winning the Fighter of the Year award. As I said, much deserved, Danny, and we're very excited to see what's next for you in 2025. We'll let you go. Christmas is
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I see the Christmas tree is still sparkling there. You'll have to be taking it down soon. No later than tomorrow. No later than tomorrow. January 6th is the absolute most. Come on,
no,
Danny.
the middle of January, we'll get another bit of sprinkling
the Christmas cheer. Love it. Thanks for the time, Danny. We wish you all the best. Take care.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for your words.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Danny.
All the
it.
best. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
All right. The champ is here, sitting in a 4-poster bed, no less, suited for a champion. Oktagon light heavyweight champion Will Fleury joins us. Will, what's the crack? How are you feeling after the big win? Oh, you're no volume.
Mute. Oh, he's not on mute.
Oh,
but we've an audio issue.
There you go.
There you go.
Gotcha.
All right, nice one. Yeah, feeling good. Obviously, life's pretty good. Things are good when you're a champ, So could be a lot worse. And just delighted with how everything went. Obviously, yeah. So it's good balls.
Brilliant. Can I ask you, how is your knee after hitting it off of Carlos Formola's chin?
Man, I have no idea how his felt or how his face felt, but my quad was bruised, and even the actual knee cap itself, because that the third knee was right on the spot.
Ferocious shot. Ferocious shot.
Yeah. I don't know how the fuck he stayed going. As in, some of them shots, I hit him a lot harder than I hit Langer, and he can go down, even on the feet, some of the shots, they were quite accurate, they were chin twisters, and he'd eat it and just fall forward, and I'd be like, he's going to go over. So all I need to do is get out of the way. And then I get out of the way, and he just kind of balance himself and start coming back at you. It was bizarre. It felt fucking weird a few times, to be honest. And look, my job is just to keep hitting the guy, but there was a point there in the third round where this was come on, this isn't right. There's something not,
Well, in reality, the fight, in my opinion, probably should have been stopped in round 3 after that knee hit and that combination. After the fact, he was out on his feet. Now, look at hindsight is a great thing. Let's go ahead, Will.
Look, at the time, I would have said the same thing, but he did come back. He had a good go in the fourth round. As in, he had a big burst at the start of the fourth round. So you can't fucking argue with the ref not stopping it, really. So it was a bizarre fight. It was a mad fight. But he, one thing I am happy about is that was the best version of Carlos we've seen in a while. That was the best prepared he's been. That's the most physical. That's the fastest he's been in a lot of time. Like, you look at some of the other fights, he didn't perform anywhere near that well. And look, obviously, he didn't have much of an in this fight. There wasn't too many periods where he was dominating. But it wasn't just hard. Like, he had a couple of moments and sequences and little things that he was doing that are better than what he's done previously. So, like, I'm glad I beat the best version of Carlos, and I'm proud of that. Like,
I think the way you're kind of speaking out about the fight, and like we talked to you before the fight, and you're respectful in some of the shit talk, for lack of a better term. That obviously brought the best out of Carlos as well, and that's exactly you want it for you. I know you as a fighter, you want to beat the best version of people as well.
Yeah, genuinely. Like, look, I would like to think it brought the best out of him, but I really thought before this, he's doing this for the money. He's going to come in there and crumble, and I'm really glad that didn't happen, because not only it was a brilliant fight for the fans, it's a fight people who were at it will remember. I've been like, I was mobbed afterwards. Like, it's big. Like, before going into this, it was like, yeah, it'll be great to win the belt. But like, once I did it, I was like, geez, this is a lot bigger than I've done before. Just the fucking, obviously the passion of the fans in the arena. Like, I thought I might get about 20 or 30% of the sport. I got like less than 5. Like,
you're loving it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I did genuinely embrace that. Like, and it was class, the energy of it. Like, they fucking hated me. But like, afterwards then they did seem to warm to me a little bit, and that was class. But some of the lads in the audience, like some of the Irish lads who came over, were waving Irish flags, and there's people like pulling the Irish flags off them and everything. So like, it was passionate, not in a bad way, because it was mostly respectful, and they are very respectful fans. But like, there was definitely a lot of passion there. They were really behind them. So Oktagon kind of created that like pussy or champ thing, and I think that was like, no, he's our guy. And it was a brilliant promotional tool. They did that really well. They did it really smartly to make it like, here's this shit-talking Irish guy coming over saying he's going to smash your guy in the first round, and he's calling him a pussy. Is your guy a champ or is he a pussy? Like, and beautiful fucking promotional work, because like, it created an emotional response. People gave a shit. People were invested in the fight. And then I got to go in there and perform, and, like, thankfully everything went well. And I would like, in one way, I would love to have finished him, but another way, it was like, it was nice that he got to keep his dignity in a way as well, and the fans were really, proud of how he did and respected like how he did, and he got to say like, no man can come in here and beat you. Like, I'm able to take it all, and it kind of worked out really well in a weird way. As much as I would have loved to have finished him, and even during the fight, I was doing my absolute best to finish him for most of it, but afterwards, you can kind of sit back and take a look and go, you know what? Everyone got a little bit out of that, and sport doesn't often work out like that. So could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, like for sure. Like, I mean, getting that valuable cage time, we talk about it in an early career or whatever, even at that stage of your career. How was the longest you've probably fought at light heavyweight, obviously outside of training and stuff like that? So it must have been kind of a good canvas for you to kind of go back and look at maybe some areas you need to improve, some areas that you did well. How did you find fighting? Look, I mean, there's fighting a 5-round fight, fighting for 5 minutes. I feel there's lots of roller coasters in that fight too. Lots of ups and downs and lots of mental hurdles that you had to kind of get over when you're throwing and landing some of your best shots and he's not going away. How was that to kind of comprehend throughout the 25 minutes?
Yeah, it was a bit bizarre. Like, most of the time you're just focused on the moment, and sure, it's just fighting. Like, so, this is what you're prepared to do for the last however many years. Just get in, you're doing it, and I think, in general, the more in the fight you're not thinking, the better. You're just reacting and performing and doing your thing. There was a point at the end of the third, and I came back and I was fucking tired. Like, I think it's pretty obvious from watching the footage as well. Like, the last minute of that third round, I'm just getting I'm smothering him, but I'm just getting my shit together and going like, how the hell is this guy taking these shots? And I sat back on the stool, and like, Owen and Nereus came in. And I said to him, I was like, what do I need to hit this lad with to finish him? And he was like, just be a bit lower with the, left hand a little bit lower, that type of thing. But that was the one moment where I'd say, okay, there was a mental bit of like, you need to look at this differently. You need to alter your perspective here. Because I was thinking, those are my best shots, like they are. And they didn't put them away. So there is that thing of like, what the fuck is going to put them away? Now, at the same time, I knew I'm in control of this fight. Like, I was up technically 4 rounds at that stage.
Yeah.
But I really did want to finish him. And I was like, how am I going to finish this guy? And there was that exasperation within that of like, I don't know if I have the tools to actually knock this guy clean out. Like, and I've never felt like that before, you know, as in, I know I haven't had that many knockouts, but like, you know, I'm a powerful puncher. Everybody I hit, you know, if I hit you sweet, you're going down. And like anybody at this weight class should be able to do that to anybody else. But he had neck like a fucking bull. So there was a moment of like, what the fuck are you going to do to this guy? Like,
But yeah, that's the thing. But like, I think you were in complete control of that fight from the start bell to the end bell, and that obviously, you know, it showcased a very dominant performance overall. But you know, it's just good to learn those lessons this late in your career as well. You know, and going in there and fighting a guy like that when he's taking everything as well. You know.
I think the angles, if I could do it again, and like I worked that uppercut a lot coming into it, and it's like, you know, even there was a couple of things that I could have executed a bit more clinically, because it was like a sequence I was working on with Owen of like kind of a palm out and then a backstep and an uppercut. And I didn't pull that off as often as I would have liked to. I kind of framed on his head and threw a couple of uppercuts, but I didn't really get the hip in the way I could have because of just where I was. A couple of little things like that, but like there was a couple of sequences that went perfectly and chinned him, like as in caught him at the end, like, you know, that whip right onto the end of the chin. Yeah. And his neck just went dump, 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 dump. And then they even like clocked the side of his head, like his ear a couple of times. Those are shots that put people down.
Yeah, there's not too many people that take shots like that. I don't care what anyone says.
That's what I mean. Even watching the footage, because I was like after the fight, you know, it took me a day and a half. Like I was traveling the next day and traveling all fucking day, but it was the Tuesday I got to watch the fight, and I was like, yeah, those are legit fucking shots. I don't know how the fuck they didn't put them down. Yeah. And like I get my hip, like, you know, I'm a big lad and I'm powerful, obviously, but like I was whipping myself properly into them shots. They were pretty accurate, most of them. Like there was a good few that weren't, but like there was enough that were to do the job. Fucking some cunt on, like some shit on them, like, you know.
Yeah, unbelievable. Look at the win. Obviously, it opens up a plethora of opportunities for you, Will. And you spoke about that in the post-fight press conference as well. And it's great to have options in mixed martial arts. You know what I mean? What option is really, you know, maybe what are we now? Over a week out from the fight, you've had time to process things a little bit more. What's the opportunity you want most now, or what you want next for 2025?
A lot of things excite me, but the game changer is the biggest financial incentive. And look, you're a prize fighter. You're here to make money. I like, if they could give me a fight in late March and say you're fighting on the game changer, perfect. And like, I want that Murdoch fight. That is interesting. Like, they consider him so good. And I know the level I'm at. Like, you know, that's Carlos's best performance. He's one of their best guys. And like, you know, let's be honest, it wasn't close. Like, a great fighter, showed a lot of heart. But like, I dominated that entire fight. And I'm disappointed with not finishing him. So this is the level I'm at, lads. And like, I want to be able to prove the level I'm at. Murdoch is the best way to do that. But there are options, man. Even Lazar Todov, the heavyweight guy, he's due to fight for, like, he was supposed to fight Well for the belt. Well's gone. That could be double champ status within one fight. Whereas you go down to the game changer, you got to wait for, like, you know, sometimes they don't even put the belt on the line. There are a lot of options, and there are a lot of variant options, and like they're very, like, going to middleweight, it's a very different thing to go to heavyweight, obviously. So I kind of like
your spud intake now, depending on what you take. Your spud intake
massively increasing or massively decreasing. Spuds will not remain the same, let's be honest. So, but yeah, a lot of options basically.
Well, anytime I chat to you recently, you've kind of always been talking about creating these kind of magic moments or, you know, creating special moments in your career. And it seemed that Oktagon were kind of initially a bit hesitant, obviously, to give you the title fight. And I'm curious, you know, obviously you're talking about wanting the Muratov fight and you had the face off in the cage with them. Was that planned? Because it seems that you're writing your own story here and you're kind of putting the idea, you're kind of, you know, not controlling the narrative, but controlling where your career goes next, whether Oktagon like it or not. Was that planned or no?
No, genuinely. So like, even look, all the Carlos shit talk, like once they bought into it, it became they were doing it. And then I could sit back and just let them do it. But that initial, like, well, when I called Carlos out in the cage, the two owner, Pablo and Andre, left the cage to stop Carlos from getting in. And I tried to corner them that night at the after party. two of them literally physically walked away. They were like, "Oh yeah, 2 seconds," and just legged it, like, because they don't want to deal with it. Like, they were like, "We're not giving him that fight." Like, and then it became a thing where like, there's enough fans in behind this. There's enough people who are asking questions now. Carlos never fought a legit guy throughout his career. And I think, look, eventually they bought into it. And now they have bought into it. It's brilliant. Like, they promoted the fuck out of this fight. They did a brilliant job at it. In fairness, they're very good at what they do once they get behind it. But I'm not supposed to be their guy. They don't want an Irish guy. It doesn't make sense for them. Their fan base is all Central Europe. But I've come in and beat their best, like the most famous guy anyway. And I've done it in a way that, we were pretty respectful with each other, the Czech fans are behind it. And I've shown I'm a damn good fighter. So I feel like I've put myself in a very good position to go again and capitalize on that. And now there's still a little bit of Andre told me to shut up at the press conference for one day because I'm getting asked all the questions, and it's like, man, all I'm doing is answering because people are interested in me above everybody else here. It does feel though, there's a huge opportunity, and I feel like they see that now as well. And like you say, a lot of options. Sky's the limit here. I'm not talking shit here when I'm saying 2025 could be a very, very big year. And I have the fucking skill set and the mentality to make it a brilliant year. It's if they get behind it. That's by far, that's the only unknown right now.
Well, all they have to do is kind of pick up the momentum that they had based off that fight. And you said that they took it and, they built it up into a fight, but they have to take something, and they took something that you gave to them and they made it something. So I think they can do the same for you as a champion and kind of fester that going into 2025. You can be one, talking about going out there and beating favorite guys or bringing stars. Well, I see you as an opportunity to become a star for Oktagon in 2025.
I think I pretty much already am, and I'm not trying to talk shit here, but what more could I have done to be the guy, And Keita, amazing fighter, great personality, he's cool. Every time I see Keita on something, I want to watch the video, But I'm basically the same thing as that. You give me the chance to become a double champ, I will beat whoever you put me against. If they give me Engizek now, I'd beat that guy. If they give me Tadov now, I would beat that guy. So all I need is the opportunity. And again, this Murdoch thing, he just happened to be in the cage. I literally saw him out of the corner of my eye. I was like, that's a big fight. Let's talk shit. Let's do that. Yeah. And then that happened, when I turned to Omar, I'm like, I'm making your job easy for you. I think he gets a little bit pissed off there, but mate, I am. That's the reality of this. And I'm doing all this. I'm here ready to fight everybody, willing to fucking do it. You just got to fucking create the situation, promote it right, and pay me properly. It's very I feel like, you're not
sometimes
the fights.
Sometimes the fights they make themselves. That's what I say.
Well, I'm the one fucking making them. Let's be honest. And I'm not it's a funny thing to be this guy because I haven't been for most of my career. I've been the guy who's kind of like, oh, sure, I'll take the fights you give me and whatever. Fuck. Nobody's going to, especially coming into a Central European-based promotion and you're waiting around for things to happen. If I kept my mouth shut and hadn't done that call-out video and hadn't done all the shit that I've done this year, I'd probably be fighting the number 5 ranked guy in a couple of months. Do you know what I mean? Whereas now I'm the champ and ready to go for double champ status. So it pays to talk a little bit of shit. It pays to create a narrative. And they're brilliant at getting in behind the narrative once you create it. But I'm very aware of the fact that I have to keep creating it and keep calling guys out and keep making things happen. Because it's why Antons fucking happened, to be honest.
Perfect. Yeah, no, it was great to see you. I can hear you, so maybe it might be best for someone else to see Will off here. But I just want to say congratulations. It was very good to see you become a champion at the end of the year and shine the light on Irish MMA. Sorry.
Will, before you go, do you have the belt there that we can see? Because you showed us the last one when you get the UAE Warriors one.
There we go.
Oh, there it is. That's the way to sign off.
Love it. Thanks for the time, Will. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, Willie, for the coverage. And thanks for everything over the years. I really appreciate it, lads.
Congratulations on a great 2024. We're really looking forward to 2025. All the best.
Cheers, Will.
See you, lads. Cheers. Best of luck.
Cheers.
Alrighty, and now we shall bring in the man himself. Many might call him the voice of Irish mixed martial arts, the Swiss Army knife of Irish mixed martial arts. Paul Browne with the Ould Triangle hoodie, on brand, unlike some of our co-hosts here.
Come on, Andy, what's going on?
Paul Browne comes in here.
He robbed mine.
The Ould Triangle hoodie.
You robbed Keith Keogh's. That's what we're missing here now. Actually,
Keith Keogh's his, and I forgot to include him in the list of undefeated fighters that we talked about earlier on. So,
my goodness.
Really, I just don't like Keith Keogh. That's what we're
What
getting
did
at
Keith
here.
Keogh do to you?
You just don't like Blanche. That's it.
Yeah, absolute dirtbags.
Paul,
I feel like we don't have a guest here. I feel like we've got a fourth chair. I feel like we can take a nice. It's a marathon. I am exhausted from all these interviews.
My neck's in bits.
I'm looking at the clock here. 2 hours 33 minutes. You lads have been going for.
There we go. That's powerful stuff.
Listen, this is 5-round championship round stuff here.
This is it. We're in the final hurdles, and no better man to come on and to kind of round us off on Irish mixed martial arts other than yourself, Paul. You had the front row seat, obviously announcing and calling a lot of the fights that happened on the domestic scene in Ireland in 2024. When you look back on the year for Irish mixed martial arts, we spoke a little bit about, obviously, at the start of the podcast, the Ian Gary and the Paul Hughes, from a domestic perspective, all the shows that you've been able to cover this year. It's been a pretty good year for Irish mixed martial arts as a whole.
Yeah, huge. And, it's sort of gone in two separate parallel kind of phases for me. Like there's, at the start of the year, I remember there was just a swarm of young fighters about to go professional. And I remember the video I did where it was like, who was in it? Tiernan and Georgie Grozav and Conor McCarthy and those guys, Keith Keogh, Lewis Byrne. And there was a lot of them making the leap into the pro ranks. So they've sort of gone from, they've had their first couple of fights on the likes of the Cage Legacy shows earlier in the year, which, I had the privilege of calling. And, Max and Conor, I get to kind of interview those guys in the cage and Georgie, and a really cool experience. But now those guys have kind of spread their wings, and we're getting to see them move on to that next level, and kind of we're setting them free. They're not on the domestic scene now anymore. They're going international. And I just put up an Instagram post the other day wondering, is there many other fighters about to make that leap? And I was kind of looking for names, and I only got a small little handful back. So it's not the same volume of fighters as last year. There are a couple that are making the leap to the pro ranks, and I think you've had one or two of them on this evening. But we're sort of waiting for that next wave now to follow through. But there is a lot of really promising young fighters out there. And yeah, I find I'm just always really grateful that I get to sort of see these guys' journeys, because if you take Conor McCarthy as an example, you look at his amateur record. I've commentated on like something like 3/4 of his fights, and I've had a really close look at how he's developed, and I know exactly how good he is. I was explaining it to someone the other day. This is a guy you got to watch out for. And there's a handful of other fighters. I mean, you could say the same about. So it's been a fun year just watching the growth all around. At different levels.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, like I said, you've been commentating, you've been announcing pretty much all of the Irish domestic shows this year. Is there one show to you that really stood out in terms of maybe excitement, great fights? They probably all have a special meaning to you, but I mean, I'm putting you on the spot here a little bit, I guess, with the question. But anything that does stand out to you on any of the shows?
Oh, a particular card, I don't know, to be honest. A particular fight, the fight I would pick now would be Shea Cleland and Damien McGuigan, either or. Predominantly, I think the first one, but the second one was a brilliant fight too. But I think the first one, just for the sheer level of ability, fight IQ, everything that we saw in the cage that night was just, I mean, it blew my mind. I could, myself and McGuigan were calling that one, and our jaws were on the floor watching it. We were engrossed in it, and I don't think you're going to see a more high-level competitive fight anywhere in the world at any at professional or amateur. I think it was just phenomenal. As regards an overall show or event, I don't think there's one that kind of stands out above the rest. They all sort of bring different things to the table, and I was saying this to someone after EUR FC recently, the card. They did the final one of the year. I think they've done 3 or 4 again this year. And every time you go up there, like the venue itself isn't it's not laid out to have to be a cauldron, where the fans are all around the cage or whatnot. And, the fans are off to one side and there's a low ceiling. So it doesn't really lend itself to that. But the fights that are put together and that happen in that cage. We often call those cards, and there might be 15, 16, 17, 20 fights on it, and there might not be a dud on the whole card. Every fight either had a spectacular finish, knockout, or it was just really, really well matched up and back and forth. So that last one in particular was like that as well, and not a lot of huge names on it, but it was one of those. So like they all bring different things to the card, you know. EFC down in Cork, I have to say, they're doing really good things. The Cork crowd are fun, and they come out in their droves for those shows. So I'm looking forward to see where they go next year, because they've got 3 shows under the belt now this year, and there ain't anyone else really doing it down south at the moment, which is a problem, you know.
Yeah, that's something that we spoke about here on the podcast quite often. And I guess, you know, I was going to ask you, would you have any wish list maybe for 2025 for Irish MMA? I think at top of that wish list for all of us would be to see a few more domestic shows down in the Republic of Ireland. We're obviously very sparse right now. They're doing a phenomenal job up in the likes of Belfast and with Clan Wars and Cage Conflict and Ur and all of those. It's a little bit easier to put on shows there, of course. So, I mean, the ability to put on shows isn't solely down to somebody, you know, simply having the money or, you know, paying insurance. You know, they need to have the ingredients to be able to put on a show. And I think, you know, the Irish government doesn't make it easy for, you know, people to start up shows and for them, when they are going, to continue running them. Obviously, we've seen Cage Legacy go through 20. We were at the last one, I think, altogether 23. They did very well to get 23 shows, and sadly they announced that they had to take a little bit of hiatus.
I'll just interject there. Andy wasn't with us that night. He sold us. He was not.
Now, I was keeping quiet there, Paul. Because we were all
I didn't want to throw young Stevenson under the bus. He was over-representing it.
Bums were at Cage Legacy, and I was at the UFC. Yeah, what?
All I said, Andy is the fucking magpie over in London. No fighters got the win when he was over there. That's all I'll say.
No, Shauna won, didn't she?
Shauna did win. Sorry, I apologize. Yeah, sorry.
Thank you. I was getting worried there for a second.
What do you think? What do you think needs to be done, Paul, collectively, to try and make the domestic scene operate on a little bit more of a smoother level? We need that backing, obviously, from the government, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, from what I've been speaking to promoters and seeing some of the bills for certain things that are coming through after shows, and yeah, it's the type of stuff that'd make your eyes pop out of your head, you know. So it's quite difficult to probably want to put in all the work and take those gambles, and then, you know, you have a show and you haven't got a bean to show for it at the end of it. So it's one thing I'd never do. I think I've done every single job you can do in the MMA space. But I've always said I will never run a show, because I've had a real close look at the stress these poor bastards are under when they run shows. And I say it to the promoters all the time. I feel so sorry for you. I wouldn't have the patience to deal with all the problems that arise, you know. Like I love going up north, and most of my work would be up north and that. And I love going up to, you know, the likes of the Cage Conflict, the Ur, Chaos, and Virtus and things like that. But it's difficult to see what can be done. I don't think there'll be a premier show for a while. Cage Legacy, we know they're on a hiatus, and it's difficult to know further down the line. Elite is the only one down south now, so yeah. I think that's. I don't see anyone out there. Maybe I could be wrong, but I don't see anyone trying to solve that problem or having the know-how or the ability to solve it. Like, I wouldn't know where to start, what you could do to change it. So
need a lot of money.
Money. or like, you know, we need, you know, when you get that government backing or you legalize it and you open up those avenues to make it a little bit cheaper for promotions to run these shows. That's the big problem. Now, obviously, you look at insurance is very important, and the health and safety and the well-being of fighters is the most important thing when you're starting up a promotion. But, you know, there's been so many hurdles put in front of mixed martial arts by other combat organizations, and, you know, maybe a lack of backing by the government as well. You know, we've had it mentioned in the Dáil maybe once or twice, perhaps, or maybe once, wasn't it, by that Sinn Féin representative? But we need somebody like that, I feel, to kind of come in there and to give it the boost and to, you know, the much deserved boost. And I think when we're looking back, Paul, on Irish mixed martial arts and how it's developing, and, you know, we spoke to Shando a little bit earlier on about the comments of Khabib Nurmagomedov and, you know, kind of belittling the talent pool in Irish mixed martial arts. But when you consider the level of talent that we're able to produce, given the circumstances where the sport isn't backed by the government and, you know, it's self-funded success really in many terms. I think Irish MMA can be pretty proud of itself and how much steps it's made forward in the last number of years.
Without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, I'm lucky enough to have been around this game. Well, I still had no hair back then when I started, but it was a long time ago anyway, you know. Like when I started, there was 2 Irish Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts in the country. If you saw someone on the mats wearing a purple belt, you thought they could walk on water, and you'd go to shows and you'd watch fights. And I've seen what the level was like then, and what, like, there's 16-year-olds stepping into the cage now that would absolutely decimate a lot of the pros that were around back then. The level of development and growth and just the improvements, it's frightening. It's absolutely frightening. And like, I still get on the mats with some of these guys now, and just it's terrifying how skillful and how well-rounded a lot of the fighters are these days. So the growth is huge. What's happening is just that the more high level fighters we're producing, that rolls downhill, and then the speed of growth and development at the lower levels kind of quickens up. You know, like you'll see people, white belts in jiu-jitsu, that are better than probably purple belts and brown belts were 15 years ago, and the same kind of carries over in MMA. You'll see young amateur fighters who kind of just have so much more in their arsenal, you know, because they're being taught by people who've been there and done that and worn the t-shirt. So I have been blown away just at the level of a lot of the young fighters, the amateurs. And I'm even saying it to like McGuigan on commentary a lot of the time. The start of those shows, they'll have a couple of novice rules fights that might have no headshots on the ground or something like that. And you'll have fighters will be doing 3 or 4 of those before having an amateur fight. And then, like, you know, 15, 20 amateur fights. By the time those fighters move into the professional ranks, they are seasoned. And you know, it's brilliant to see. We're seeing a serious wave, and I spoke about Connor and Max and those guys, and, you know, Kikyo, and there's a big line of a big wave of professionals coming through that have quite a high ceiling. I'm very, very excited to see how the next 5 years looks.
Paul, we've been looking back obviously on 2024, and you know, you were obviously involved. We had the SevereMMA Awards that went out today. But who do you, like? Is there anyone that comes to mind, or a few fighters even that come to mind, who've maybe flying under the radar, or who've had a really solid 2024 and maybe don't get spotlighted enough, or we haven't talked about enough in the last little while?
I'm probably going to forget. I'll probably kick myself later now. There'll probably be a couple of people I'll neglect to mention here, but you know, there's been some spectacular moments, spectacular performances at amateur level. Kaya O'Sullivan's knockout over, what was the girl's name? You know the girl.
Carolina Arm, was it?
Yes, that's the one.
Arm, yeah, that's it.
An unbeaten, I believe, pro Muay Thai fighter, like with a lot of fights under her belt. Yeah, and not only did Kaya go in there, and like, I did my research, watched these girls fight before, and I've commentated on Kaya's fights before, and I thought, right, Kaya's going to go in there and get a hold of this girl and just take her out of her comfort zone and try and make it a miserable night for her, blah blah blah. She went in there and kickboxed with her, and not only did she do that, she dominated every moment of that fight. And that knockout was one of the scariest and one of the most spectacular knockouts I've ever had the pleasure of commentating on, I have to say. So I'd have to give her flowers. And you know, given the scarcity of opponents at women's mixed martial arts as well, I would not be surprised to see her make the jump to the pro ranks sooner rather than later. Like, I don't know who else is out there for her to fight, you know. So I'm looking at like Emer Darcy, who you know had a similar-ish amount of amateur fights and just went, you know what, I'm going pro, end of story. She has enough to handle the kind of fighters they're going to throw at her early in a pro career, and then she can kind of just learn the rest on the job. I think Kaya could absolutely do something similar like that with Cage Warriors. I think that would be a really, really good fit. So I think she gets a good shout. And then, like, you know, I mentioned Damien McGuigan earlier. He's been brilliant. Obviously, he's the standout one, and we all talked about him as the fighter of the year. Jordan Scully's had a fantastic year too, his teammate. Lewis Byrne just gone pro there, and he finally got his pro debut out of the way. I mean, he had 1 or 2 fall through, but he managed to get that submission victory on Clan Wars. And I mean, Lewis is one of those fighters who had a lot of amateur fights, and it was win one, lose one. one step forward, one step back for quite a while. And then it all seemed to click in the last kind of 5 or 6 fights of his AMI career. And we could all see it in the gym. Lewis has everything. Like, he's a really good grappler. He's a really good wrestler. He's a really good kickboxer. But things like decision making were kind of maybe, in the heat of the moment, he'd make the wrong call, make the wrong choice. And a lot of that, like, sometimes fighters just take a little bit longer to mature and be ready. And I think he made the crossover at the right time. So I'm very interested to see where he can go, because, like, I trained with him just there last week, and I could see, like, every once in a while I train with him, and I could see again just another leap up in his grappling. So he's one to watch out for. And I think Graham Sheehan, if he can have a bit of fortune, a bit of luck this year, because he's had pro debuts fall through, amateur fights fall through, big ones like the Brian Manning fight would have been brilliant. I think if he can get if he can get in the cage fit and healthy, and his opponent gets in the cage fit and healthy as well, because I think it's happened more so on the other side than it has with him. I think he's going to shock a hell of a lot of people.
Your team Rhino starting to show there at the end. No, but you're right. They're two lads that are very excited to see. Geez, there's so many moments over the past year. There's so many fighters like who have done amazing things. It'd be impossible for us to go through them all, especially 3 hours into a podcast. But you did mention one fella there. I think there might be someone waiting in the wings.
Yeah, there's someone waiting in the rings here, and feel free, you can stay with us, Paul, for this one as well if you want to. But we do
Depends who it is.
We do have Damien McGuigan here waiting in the sidelines here if he is ready to go with us at this moment.
Waiting for him to turn on his camera. So
yeah.
Is he wearing a no triangle hoodie?
I don't know. Well,
that's where Andy's has got.
Yeah. But I don't know whether Damien is ready to go yet or not, but
here he is.
Here he is.
All
right, Damien, how are things with you, my friend?
All good.
First of all, I just want to say congratulations on winning the Irish Amateur Fighter of the Year award for SevereMMA this year. A hotly contested award, but yeah, we all thought collectively that the level of work that you put in. Paul had just been on speaking about how great your 2 fights with Shea Cleland were this year as well, and I think it was a much deserved award, and congratulations to you.
Thank you very much, lads. Really appreciate it.
Damien, what was the standout of those 3 fights over the year? Because I know you've had that, like, the 2 absolute barn burners with Shea Cleland. One in particular was probably stands out over the other. But then you've got that win over Alex Holm, who is, he's arguably one of the top prospects in the UK, and really highly touted. You went into his own backyard and took him out and took the belt along with it. So what of those 3 fights really stands out for you over the year?
For me, the fight that stood out for me the most would probably be the fight over in England, because after the weigh-ins, I was really sick, couldn't stop throwing up, was trying to hide from Pat, was telling him I was just going to the bathroom, but I was going into the bathroom to be sick. And then he sort of found me being sick out the back, and then he had a wee talk with me, and I drank about 7 litres of liquids, and not once did I go to the bathroom until after the fight. So about, not even after the fight, the day after the fight. And I had burning pains on my side, and all sayings, to be honest, I probably shouldn't have fought, but for me, that was my favourite win, because obviously Alex is a top guy. He was probably arguably one of the best in the UK at the moment, and I was able to go 5 rounds and win pretty comfortable.
Those 5 rounds is obviously something that we don't see over here. It's debate as to whether people actually are for it, against it. What was it like for you adjusting to those 5 rounds? And do you think it was maybe the ideal to cap off your amateur career before you go pro to get 15 minutes in?
Yeah, absolutely. Like at the start of my amateur career, I fought 5-round fights for amateurs were no good because we're not getting paid to fight. So there's no point going in and going to take that much damage. But since I knew it was my last amateur fight, it was perfect. The field last 15 minutes. What I sort of felt in the longer rounds, it sort of settled in. It wasn't as mental or madness. It sort of settled into a nice pace where we both got the feint, get our shots going, and it wasn't like a mad amateur pace.
What's it looking like now for 2025? I know you're going pro. Do you have any? Are you going to stick around the regional scene? Do you go and looking at the Cage Warriors route, promotions, PFL or site? You know, there's that route potentially. What's the plan? Do you think?
Yeah, at the moment there's so many opportunities. There's so many different promotions. Like back 10 years ago, you could only go to Cage Warriors. Now, like there's the one in Amsterdam, there's shows down in Cork, there's shows everywhere. So we were sort of discussing if something comes up beforehand, we're going to take it. If not, most likely we'll be debuting on Cage Conflict. But the only problem with Cage Conflict is I want to be fighting in bigger cages. And the Cage Conflict cage is absolutely tiny. So I feel like the bigger cage just suits into my game so much better. And I feel like I'll be able to show a different level. And I'll be able to show all my skills in a bigger cage rather than a small amateur cage.
With that bigger cage, I guess, do you know what that, because you have that movement and I guess the space to be able to move and utilize the cage to your full advantage as opposed to what you get in the smaller cage. What is it that you prefer even in that bigger cage? Do you think you'd be able to get your kicks off more? Is it just the space to work, breathe, and maybe get your range as well?
There's just so much more room because in an amateur cage, you take 2 steps back the way, you're against the cage, and then 80% of amateur fights are up against the fence and like defending takedowns, turning. But in a bigger cage, you have more room to circle. You can be more creative in the shots. You can land a lot more spinning attacks because I have more space to do so. Like I could take 2 steps back and not even be close to the cage. But in an amateur cage, it's like 2 steps back, you're against the wall, defending takedowns, and it's just as a striker, like I like to say I'm an MMA, like a complete MMA guy, but I like to strike a lot, and it's a lot easier to take someone down in a small cage than it is in a big cage. And I feel like with my footwork, I'll make people make loads of mistakes and get a lot of nice KOs.
When you look back at the year in 2024, and we were talking with your head coach, one of your head coaches, Liam Shannon, earlier on in the podcast, Damien. This year in 2024, FAI, they got the Gym of the Year, they had the Professional Fighter of the Year in Paul Hughes, and they had Amateur Fighter of the Year in yourself. What does that tell? I mean, the answer probably speaks for itself, but what does that tell you about what the gym is doing right now and how successful that year, the year 2024, has been for you?
It's been a very successful year. It's been successful for me and also a lot of my teammates. Like Paul starting to show how good he is. Like obviously we all knew Paul was going to beat AJ, but no one believed it. But obviously we train with him every day. We know how good he is. So it's just really good to see that a small team in West Belfast is one of the top gyms in Europe, arguably the world, because we have people traveling from Dublin, people traveling from Derry, from Newry, everywhere just to train in our gym. So that just shows me that it's the best gym in the country because they get trained somewhere 10 minutes away from the house, but they're willing to travel near an hour and a half, 2 hours every night just to train in FAI. So I feel like that itself alone just speaks for itself.
What's the atmosphere like right now in FAI? I think Paul's back from the States, is he? Obviously he's gearing up for a huge fight. Like the as you've mentioned, the success of FAI has been evident through Paul really the past year, like at the highest levels. That must give a boost to the gym, right? When you have, it's easy to, or it's all well and good to know kind of internally within the gym the levels that you have, but for them to be playing out on the world stage, that has to lift morales and excitement. And you're now seeing all the various opportunities that are available to guys that are literally sharing the mats with you, right?
It's honestly unbelievable because I'm sharing the mats with some of the best talents in Europe and the best talents in the world. Like we've got Paul, Rhys McKee, Mafiali, Paddy McCrory. That's just to name a few. There's so many talented guys up there, but also they're paving the way for us young ones. Like when Paul goes out and beats Usman, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for a lot of fighters from FII to get on the PFL and start to get on these bigger shows. So he's sort of leading the way for all us young ones, and we all look up to him because he's at the place where we all want to be. He's as hungry as we are. He's hungrier. He will do anything to reach to the top. So it's so good to see him, so good to share the mats with him and everyone.
And Damien, you're mentioning there about like the quality of people that are on the mats with you, but you're also fighting really good fighters as well, which I think is, it's really, really impressive to see, especially at the level you're at. I mean, Shea Cleland is probably the toughest fight you could get in this country, and you went out there and had 2 amazing fights with him. Now, I know there was there was debates from both sides about the scoring, but to me that kind of, in the bigger picture, that's irrelevant, because it was amazing just to see both of you guys get that valuable time in the cage and be tested by the best possible fighter that you could probably be tested by in this country. And surely those two fights are going to have brought you on leaps and bounds.
Yeah, I've gotten loads of confidence from them two fights. Obviously the first fight was really close. I believe the second fight wasn't close at all. I thought it was a clear 2 rounds to 1, because obviously his game plan, the second fight was just to come out and wrestle and not sort of strike. So I'd sort of switch things up. But it's a lot of experience I took from those fights, so it's going to help me massively when I get into the pro cage. And obviously Shay's another top prospect. And in my opinion, it's like styles make fights. So me and Shay styles sort of, anytime we fight, it's always going to be a good sort of entertaining fight. And that's the way it's always going to be. So I'm glad throughout my amateur career I had a lot of tough fights, because there's no point in amateur, like padding your record at amateur, because there's no point at it, because the second you turn pro, like it doesn't matter. Like, what's Conor McGregor's amateur record? One of you probably know, like, but most people don't.
This is probably the only round table where you might get an accurate answer.
100%.
Look at Damien, we really appreciate you taking the time to come and speak with us. It's a pleasure for us to, have you on to say congratulations personally on a very successful year, on winning the Amateur of the Year award. You've gone in there with pretty prestigious names that have previously won that award as well. And we're very, very excited to see what's next for you in 2025. So just wanted to relay that message, and thanks for the time as always, and hopefully we'll get to speak with you sometime ahead of one of your pro debut fights.
100%, lads. Thank you very much for having me on. I really appreciate the time and the award. Thank you very much.
Before you go, really quick, give us your prediction of the, I know which way you're going to pick it, but I want to hear Method as well. Paul Hughes versus Usman Nurmagomedov. Give us your prediction.
See, there's a lot of ways the fights can go, but I'm predicting someone tell me round 3 or 4 finish for Paul. Because I feel like the first 2 rounds might be Usman just putting on a frantic pace, but Paul's fit. Paul can match that pace, and I feel like rounds 3, 4, 5, Paul really starts to take over, and I do see Paul finishing him. Obviously, my view is always going to be biased, but I train with Paul, and I can see how good Paul obviously is. Obviously, Usman Nurmagomedov, he's one of the Nurmagomedov, so he's one of the toughest fights Paul can have, but I don't see how Paul doesn't win the fight, but we'll see in January 25th.
Love it. Thanks a million, Damien.
No worries. Thank you, guys.
Damien.
Thanks, Damien. Appreciate it. Love it. All right, guys, that wraps us up. A 3-hour monster podcast here. Andy Stevens is almost on the way out here. He's questioning all of his life decisions.
I think I'm delirious.
Imagine shout out Ariel Almani, who does this like twice a week, every week. It's insane, yeah. So thanks Paul for joining us as well. Let's finish. Like Quilcha came up with the idea, and we'll finish all 4 of us here in the Auld Quadret. A bold prediction in Irish mixed martial arts for the year in 2025, and because Quilcha came up with it, that means you have something in your head. So I'm going to relay it to you. So either do I. So I have to think about it. So someone else please say something.
I'm not even bold. The only thing I could think of. Paul, do you have something there?
No, Andy has one there. We'll let him lead off.
I've been trying to figure out how to phrase this now. My bold prediction for 2025 is that 2 Irish fighters compete for a title, and I'll caveat it. I don't mean it's not going to be a domestic title. So we're talking, UFC's
Oktagon, Cage Warriors, that type of level.
Cage Warriors, PFL, Bellator, Levels Fight League,
UFC.
No, I mean, yeah, sure, we'll throw it in there. But
I think an Irish fighter might compete for a UFC world title this year.
No. I mean, 2 Irish fighters compete against each other.
Each other? Oh, yeah. I want to say that's not that bold, because we have one in a few weeks.
2 Irish fighters compete against each other. So, I'm probably thinking it's Cage Warriors, but it could be one of the other European promotions.
Typical Andy Stevenson prediction there, trying to put the Irish versus the Irish. He loves it. That gets him going. That's a bold prediction, Paul.
I think we might have at least 4 Irish fighters not compete against each other, but compete at international level for a world title, 4 different ones in the year. I'm thinking Oktagon, Cage Warriors, PFL, UFC. At that level, shows of that magnitude, I think we may see 4 different Irish fighters.
Hang on.
4, hold on, 4 of anything.
This is not a bold prediction. You need to up this now because we've got Will Fleury's an Octagon champion. James Sheehan's a Cage Warriors champion. Paul Hughes is fighting in 2 weeks for the belt. So you've got 3 already there.
Shots fired on the predictions there.
Okay. That's now that you've reminded me there are already 2 champions in place. Let me round up to 6 or more.
Oh, I like that.
That's decent, isn't it?
That is decent.
Like if Solomon Simon and Ian Gary were to get title shots, it's possible. Do you know what I mean? Guys like that. So
I like it. Okay.
I'm gonna go. I don't know if one's a bold prediction or more of what I think might happen. But so bold prediction. There will be the first Irish MMA fighter will get signed to one championship in 2025. I think that might be a good one. The other is that the regional scene will become flooded with professional talent and we'll finally see a lot of Irish domestic matches in pro ranks. I think that one might be nicer.
I like that.
There were a few in the works for a recent show in Ireland that didn't come true, and lads, I'll tell you when you stop recording, oh my goodness, it would have been so good.
Oh, interesting.
No one championship fighters, isn't there, from Ireland?
I don't think they do MMA.
Well, they're not
anymore.
really. It's a very bold prediction from Quilcha because they're not really an MMA promotion anymore, if we're being honest. You know, but they have a couple of fights sprinkled here and there. But I like that prediction. I'm not belittling one championship. I love what they do, but they're not putting on a savage amount of MMA fights anymore. So. It'd be interesting to see if that
got the likes of Stamp Fairtex looking for a fight.
Yeah.
Danny McCormack's there.
Yeah, for sure.
But,
I wouldn't disagree at all with that. My bold prediction for the year will be that maybe I'll do 2 small ones. I think Paul Hughes will become the Bellator champion and the PFL tournament champion in 2025. Ooh. That's one bold prediction. And I think the next one will be that we will have 5 world champions at the end of 2025.
Ooh.
That's what 2 bold predictions right there. So, if Paul doesn't lose the Bellator belt and then wins the PFL belt, that's 2 and 1 for me there. So if we have
that's fair.
You know what I'm saying? That's fair. Yeah. It might seem like a bold prediction, but it's a very believable one. If you look at if Will retains the Octagon championship, if Ian Gary wins one fight and goes and fights Shavkat, maybe at the end of the year he has a chance to win UFC gold as well.
Does I'm just thinking here now. Stephen Costello, he's another we hadn't mentioned that on this episode. He had a great year.
Yeah. Great year.
He's fighting for the Eternal MMA Championship, isn't he?
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Is that a world title?
It's international. It's not in Ireland.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty prestigious belt. In fairness, Eternal is a pretty good.
It's Australian.
Yeah, it's like the Oceania version of Cage Warriors.
I'll just say the poll prediction. I'll let you guys decide the terms and conditions, but I think it's best for everybody. 3 hours and 6 minutes into this monster podcast, a fantastic podcast. Thanks to Paul for joining us.
Can I just before you do your wrap up? Can I just say one thing, gentlemen?
Yeah,
I would like to give you guys your props for all the work you do here on this podcast all through the year. For anyone involved in Irish mixed martial arts, this podcast is you just can't miss it. It's phenomenal and it's brilliant. Like the job I do, where I have to keep researching fighters because I'm going to be calling their fights. Obviously, there's shows that they fight on that I don't know, I don't get to see or whatever. I just catch up on the podcast. I don't think I've ever missed an episode, and I'm sure I'm not alone in that. You guys do marvelous work. Keep her lit. Fair play. We'd be lost without you.
I appreciate it, Paul, and vice versa. I think you coming out and not breaking onto the scene this year, but it's been a massively big year for you and much deserved too, like, because you put in a hell of a lot of work in terms of preparation for calling fights, announcing fights. It was a pleasure for us to see you coming in on SevereMMA to do some content there as well. So you've been doing great stuff in the announcing and also in the calling fights, but your MMA media work too has really been beneficial to the website. to us, and we're delighted that we have you part of the team. And keep talking nice about us, and we'll keep having you on as a guest. That's the key.
So we'll slip it at 20 after as well.
Well, look, and I think we're all four of us here. Why we relate and how we relate is through all of our passion for Irish mixed martial arts and Irish mixed martial arts in particular. You know, we all love the scene, we all love covering the scene, we all love being a part of the scene in some way or not or other. And you know, I'd never take that for granted. And you know, hopefully we can stride forward into 2025 and we have a big year for Irish mixed martial arts, and it'd be absolutely fantastic to see. And we'll be here talking us through to all the action, all the stories, all the good times, all the bad times, and we look forward to enjoying that ride with everybody as well. So I guess that leaves us with only one last thing to do, the first one of 2025, and that's Cuilche de Barra to see us out.
Yeah, well, if anyone's made it this far, look, if you're looking for a New Year's resolution, join a gym, be it MMA, whatever. I think those things are always good things. Other options, maybe support your local MMA show and your local MMA fighter. And I think a very common one I'm seeing is Laura Cúpla Focal, and maybe learn a bit of Gaeilge. So as I leave it there, Gurmi Mahaguf, Agus Longa Fall.
Hopnika.